Didn't think that I was. Oh wait, we're being live streamed. Okay, never mind.
Okay, we're live now.
I think so.
I'm not kidding though. If you guys, I will go on right now and pay $66 and like 7 cents to get you 2 tickets
Let me talk.
to
Let me
come and hang
talk.
out with me. I'm not kidding.
I hear you. I hear
I'm
you,
going with my buddy. I have a hotel room in Scottsdale. It has two queen beds. We will hang out. Oh my God, that would be righteous. And we're going to White Castle. I said, oh, you can't do White Castle because you're goddamn grown. God damn it. Oh.
yeah. Let me talk to her in the morning. We were trying to sort
I'm
some
dead
stuff.
serious,
I,
dude,
I,
because I'm
I,
going. I'm already there.
buddy, I hear you.
So,
I hear you. I appreciate you.
um,
Don't stress me out.
so, so, um,
All right, we're
I want
good.
to talk a little bit about dates in our head,
We're good
right?
there.
Like if I don't put reminders up, and it isn't that I don't care, but I feel like at this point in my life, if I don't put some kind of physical thing to page, sometimes it's not even the phone, that it's actually I print out a calendar.
Yeah.
And I think maybe it's because, well, number one, nobody in the past at our age has functioned at such a high level that we have mentally. They just haven't.
It's crazy. I thought like growing up, people who are 48, they were like
Right. They're done.
they
They're
weren't learning
done.
new things. They weren't doing new things. My dad was
Correct.
like, after 40, your brain, the neuroplasticity is just not there, and it's hard to learn new
Correct.
things. I'm like, I'm learning
Correct.
programming languages on my own.
Right. No, and I am at the point in my life where I ask so many questions. And I think I annoy some of the younger people in the world that I deal with on a daily basis. But I still feel that there is this unbelievable void that I need to fill with knowledge.
Oh, I tell you,
And
with young people,
oh, but I love to hear. I really do. I love to hear their points of view. I love to hear where they're at, like why they came up with the way that they have surmised what they
good
are
word.
looking to do. I love it. Because it's a different perspective, and yeah, I'm 8 or 9 pints in right now. I just want to let you know, but no, but I'm at the point. So I was with my best friend in the world, Nicole. I love her to death. She's going to Mexico tomorrow with her boyfriend from Jacksonville, Florida. He came in.
Oh, a long distance relationship,
So I've met him more than I've met her roommate. So that's fucking strange.
right?
And he lives in Jacksonville. And I'm hanging out with him on Sunday for Shinedown up in Phoenix. But but I love to hear the perspective. I like to, like,
Young people.
like I always say, I'm an asshole, but I'm not a dick, because I feel like you're an asshole on purpose. You're a dick, but I'm not I'm never a dick. Like, I don't mean to be a
You're, you're
certain way on purpose.
you're not a mean person. You're not mean
No,
spirited.
I don't feel like I was a
You're
Jeff.
uh,
I was I before you ever met me,
yeah,
before McDonald's,
yeah,
I was a horrible human being.
yeah.
No.
No, I believe you. I
My
believe you.
sister likes to remind me, my sister, who never in her life has she ever called me just to chat,
Hmm.
called me to chat the other day. And I was like, what the fuck is going on? Because I've changed as a person. I feel like I've definitely evolved into a less angry human being, a more open to other people's point of views, to um it's not so much a debate anymore, it's a conversation. And I think that's how you win
You're
people
not
over.
you're not living or dying by your point of view.
No, I try not. Well, we talked about it when our last podcast, when you were talking about the acupuncture, right? Like, I have no opinion on it. I have
Yeah,
no idea. But 20 years ago, I'd been like, "You're a fucking Fruit Loop. You're a dumbass."
right,
Like
right,
that. I know that's how I would have been. Like, I
right.
I know that's the old me, but I'm not that way anymore. And I feel like it's an awesome place to be. Is that corny? I don't
Yeah,
know if that's
when
corny.
no, it's beautiful. I mean, so
Uh,
there's a decrease
Acupuncture.
in testosterone after the age of 30 and year by year, right? So what that does is obviously that takes some of your aggressive behavior away
I would agree.
naturally, and because then now you become more open to things that are sensitive, and this happens for a reason. It's a biological imperative. Although we can reproduce all the way up until we're dead, as long as our, you know,
Right.
our balls are still attached. Um, that's a non-issue. You can't have all the men of the tribe hyper aggressive and competing for, the same
Right.
thing, because what's going to happen is if we had the same level of aggression we did when we were 30, we would kill all of them rather quickly because we'd know how.
Right.
We would know how to not get caught, and then we would dispatch them rather fast.
So,
Um,
did I ever
so
tell you the story about the testosterone test I took?
I think you mentioned it. Remind me.
So, we were at a golf outing for the McDonald's marketing group.
Mhm.
And as a gag, everybody's like, "Oh, John, you need to get your testosterone checked." And I'm like, "I'm so in on this." So they did the blood. I mean, it was a blood test. It wasn't like
Yeah, that's what they do.
into a cup.
They
It
don't
was
test your
a,
semen.
and I'm like, so I get a phone call about 2 weeks later. Like, your testosterone is unbelievably low. I thought that was the funniest shit I've ever heard in my life. So I told everybody. So since then, I figured out that that was a scam. I went to a doctor, a real doctor, when I was about 42, I think. So I'm 48 now. So I was 42 at the time. And I was like, "Hey, can you test my testosterone level?" They're like, "Yeah, absolutely, no problem." And like, "Oh, no, you're normal." And I'm like, "Oh, they told me I was really low." Yeah, you're not low. You're, in fact, for your age, you're
You're
actually higher than most men are. So
right,
you're in the normal group. But
right.
I
Well,
def
it depends on what they were measuring you for. So I
that's
mean,
accurate.
there's testosterone free and clear, which is your usable, and then there's a testosterone total. So
I don't
they
like to
can,
reuse it. It's cold after a
so
while.
you might have a level of testosterone base that's commensurate to where you should be. And let's say a teenager's at 1800
Right.
and an old lady's at 90. You probably should be around 4 or 5, or maybe 6, 500
Oh,
would be considered to be doing well at your age.
right.
But they might have been testing uh, your total free and clear testosterone, which might come in higher, and they're like, well, so it depends. There's multiple ways to test it,
Right.
but you could be low if they're trying to get you on testosterone replacement, and they say you're low because you're not at 1800,
Like an 18-year
but you're
old.
not supposed to be there, but you can be. But
Right.
in order to get to 1800 with the replacement therapy, you have to be low for your age,
Right.
or borderline and have symptoms that would be obvious
Yeah, my doctor was like,
memory
"I don't know
loss.
who the fuck told you that, but you're good." So,
Mine was
oh, really, was it?
low.
Well, I had heard, so the rumor was, if you were balding, like, that was the rumor I heard, like, if you're balding
Your
and
dihydrotestosterone, your DHT is high, which causes male pattern baldness. Did you know
oh, see,
that?
I was told the opposite. I was told if you were balding, then your testosterone was low, and I was like,
Hmm. It's a sign
"Huh."
of the opposite. DHT, your dihydrotestosterone, it attacks your hair follicles. So people who have start balding young, it's because you have an increased amount of testosterone,
Well,
which are
that would
above.
make more sense
That would
for
explain your
fucking,
rage.
because I'm like an aggro fucking
Mm.
Neanderthal.
Right. Yeah.
By the way, one of the trivia questions tonight
Look at all
was
this hair I have at 48. What does this mean to you?
that you're a
Low.
stud. Oh, I was thinking you
Low.
were a stud, but
That's a great. The,
I was thinking you were a stud.
well,
Oh,
okay. Without being okay,
is this
I,
touchy?
my
Is this
testosterone.
touchy?
I haven't had it tested.
Okay.
I did replacement like 3, 4 years ago. It
Were
doesn't
they
keep it that way.
shots or pills?
I've done all of it, but I had pellets, like
Oh, I
pellets
don't.
in my
I
ass
don't know
cheek.
I don't know what pellets are.
So they do it's called BioT, or it's a bioidentical testosterone. There's multiple options depending on your age
Okay.
and how much you have to replace. They usually start you with a topical cream or a gel. It smells a little bit like semen, but it's kind of sweet. It's not exactly semen,
So
but
like bleach.
it's kind of a little bit like bleach and pancake batter. It's got a
Oh,
little
pancake batter.
Yeah, you ever sniff it? Yeah.
What?
It's not bad. It's not bad. This is why she likes it. All right, cool.
And now we're down to one person in the chat room. What the
Woo!
fuck just happened there? No, but so let me
Tic
pick the
Tacs.
nerve
I had
again.
Tic Tacs in my butt.
I want to pick the nerve again. Was so you made like noises when you were talking about it. So is that something that bugs you?
No,
So what is that, a touchy subject?
it's no. It's I don't really have a touchy subject. If I'm going to talk about something that involves somebody else,
Oh,
then I
oh.
pause and I want to consider that I'm not being disrespectful to, like, let's say my female partner, my friend, my
Okay, fair
girl,
enough.
my
So,
woman.
so
But
I'm
okay,
more than okay. No,
but
no, that's fair.
I'm actually I'm going to express it.
Okay.
Um, it's weird to say, but I am fairly confident that my testosterone kicked into overdrive because of her. Okay,
Okay.
this libido out the roof.
Well, that's a mental thing. That has nothing to do
Mm,
with your
mm,
actual. I think that's
hold
mental.
on. Yeah,
Okay.
I know you do. Do you think I wouldn't have some sort of a empirical, probably medical evidence if you were to, a diagnostic evidence to be able to make this claim? Come on, I overthink everything.
I well to
I
me,
used to do
no,
my
no,
doctor's friend's
no.
continuing education for him to get his license renewed.
No, no. So to be fair, yeah, I would, but your average guy
Right,
wouldn't think that.
right,
So that's why. So my brain still lives in Neanderthal land.
right.
It still does. I has to because I feel like I have to not only speak for myself, but for people that maybe are not as confident. You know that's my shtick, right? It has always been my shtick. The voice of the voiceless. I have
I
heard
know.
that more times than you can ever imagine, and I've decided to embrace it.
You were Jimmy Hoffa before he was the president of the Teamsters.
I
You
hated
know?
that movie, by the way, the newest one with the Scorsese did. Thought it was terrible.
Yeah, it was
I didn't like
interesting.
it. What was it called? The Irishman.
The Irishman. I Paint
Yeah,
Houses was the book it was based on. The deathbed confessions of a Irish hitman.
yeah, and there's so many guys that have already fucking squashed that like a bug. No, no, but so and this is so I was talking to a friend of ours, and one of the things that I really want to talk about
You
in
were you,
podcasts in general.
you're gonna let me finish my sentence. That's cool.
Oh, I'm sorry. I apologize. Go ahead. What were you going to finish? I apologize.
The reason why I
I love you.
have evidence, I feel that I have confident evidence that my testosterone, I started creating it again in abundance, is because there are a couple things that happen when your testosterone goes down. Your testicles will shrink. Okay,
Oh, I
not
didn't know that.
not not like to like little peas or anything, but
But like when it's cold out.
the kind of I don't know, but the mass of your testicles will get smaller because they're not being utilized to create testosterone as well as sperm semen at the same level because they're dependent on each other at the same level. It's just, when you take steroids, the reason they say that your junk will shrink when you take steroids is because anabolic steroids include testosterone. When you are giving yourself testosterone, your brain says we have plenty. Stop production again, right? It's the same thing as if you're taking narcotics. You're not creating dopamine because you're actually plugging in the dopamine receptors. This is just yeah, it's just how your body works. So if you're taking testosterone replacement, your balls will also shrink. They'll tell you that your balls will get smaller. Don't freak out. But it's because uh, they're not producing testosterone. They don't need to because we're giving it to you. But they weren't anyways. This will just mean that as much as they're trying right now, they won't have to at all. So if you notice a difference, don't panic. Okay. I didn't have a before and after my mid 40s, you know, testicle volume measure or anything such as that. But one thing that you'll notice as you get older, and if your testosterone starts to go lower, is the frequency and intensity of your morning erections will change over time. So when you're young, a lot of testosterone, it's a biological trigger to stop you from urinating while you're sleeping. Is you'll have an erection. That's to stop you from pissing yourself, so the animals can't smell it and come kill you. Okay, it's a caveman trigger. Um, if you find that you're not waking up with an erection every morning, or it's less insane, you're not pissing in your face, that happens over time as your testosterone starts to decrease. It's kind of a normal thing. Eventually, the lions will eat you in the cave because you're old enough that you piss yourself while you're sleeping. Okay? Are you following?
Sure.
This is the old medical truths. I'm not making them up. You're like, this is crazy. So tell me about your morning erections, John, to frequency and intensity. How we doing?
Uh, I think the only morning erections I have, and this has been for shit. I want to say 15 to 20 years is only if I
Oh,
have to pee.
over the age of 30.
Yeah,
Interesting.
only if I have to pee.
Right.
And then it's that.
And that's if you have to pee a lot. You wake up and you're like, oh, bladder hurts. Like, I drank a lot of beer
Yeah,
last night.
well, it's because now at my age now, which is so funny because I never did this before. I drink a ton of water, and I
Mhm.
never ever did that before. Ever. I hate water. It's boring, but I have learned to. I guess that's the first step of being old, right? You got to drink water. Apparently,
Gotta
that
hydrate. You gotta hydrate. You gotta
you
keep
got to
everything
make
going.
sure that you're drinking almost a gallon of water
Gotta
a
take my
day.
multis, my Geritol complete, my Centrum
I
Silver.
take my fiber. I do take my fiber. I will take that later in the evening on
Important.
this call. I will absolutely do that.
Yeah.
But
So you're tracking. So you can tell like that is a side
that's been,
effect.
yeah, for at least for almost 20 years.
Yeah. Oh, over the age of 30. I was right. So, so I would
Am I drinking
notice
water? I'm
I
drinking
would know
water.
I would notice the same decrease, right? And I was like, it's not like I woke up and pissed myself or anything like that. I was just like, hey, buddy, like, what's going on? I live by myself. I can fall asleep watching porn if I want. Why am I not having the same level of it's not a lack of interest, but the response wouldn't be quite as violent if I was looking at something, stimulating. And I'm like, what, I gotta fucking wine you and dine you to get you like super excited here? We gotta finish this up before I go to sleep.
This is you talking to your boner, is
I
that
mean, yeah,
correct?
I'm talking about boner. So,
Okay. Yeah.
so I'm just giving. So I was like, geez, I'm getting old. I was like, I'm getting old. And even when I was dating, not did not have an issue with performance.
I think
Fine.
it's so mental though. For me, it's mental.
Okay.
It's so mental. If there's a scenario, then it's instantaneous. Oh my God, hide the women and children. But on a general basis, I 100% agree with what you're saying after the age of 30. But I find now, I guess that's what the mental fuck is all about, right? Like, I mean, if you hit a certain fucking scenario or story in your brain,
Mm-hmm.
it is an uncontrollable, oh my God, hide the women and children situation. And I'm like, I haven't even touched you yet, bud. What the fuck you doing there? Like,
Right.
that's what I feel like at this age right now. It's more about scenario than it
Right.
is. Yeah, I think it's all the mental for me. But then again,
But
we've discussed this many times. I am a mental midget. So a lot of things I live
a
in
lot
my
of things
head.
are overwhelming.
Live in my fucking head. I
Ugh.
live in my head.
I'm
It's a
thinking about
terrible.
boobies all of a sudden.
And it's more about,
I'm just kidding.
oh, I'm sorry, sir. Did that happen right in front of you? Let
Yeah.
me pick that up. Oh my, what?
What
Where
are
the
you
fuck did the
doing, step
accent come from?
bro? I'm
Holy shit, step bro. That's a
step
great
brother. I'm
example.
stuck.
No,
Uh,
that's
they're the
what
best looking stepsisters ever.
this week.
I was like,
No,
why
but
is it?
that's
Why
yeah,
is it a
that's
popular genre? Because they're like
it's
19, 20
forbidden
years old, and
fruit.
they're all super hot, and they're all like,
You know
"Oh my
what's
gosh,
funny
I don't
though?
know if I want to." And you're like, "That reminds me of when I was a teenager." They were
You know
like, "Well,
what's
I don't know." And then all of a sudden, yeah, now you're a pro. Something's wrong with the story. Someone lied.
You know what's weird though? Like in all those scenarios, like I've never pictured my sister or
No,
my mom. Like it's
I,
never been like I'd be like, "Oh my god,
no,
John, you're fucked in the head." It has
no,
nothing to do with that.
no. It's a voyeur thing. It's
I,
you're
oh,
you
because
know
that's how I scored on that
you're
fucking thing there. I'm a
you're supposed to
voyeur
be.
there. Oh,
The
there you
idea
go,
is that you're
son.
walking down the street and you're like, "Hey, who are those hot people in their
Right, right,
pajamas
right, right.
touching each other?" Ooh, that's your voyeur
Interesting.
instinct kicks in. You don't care
Yeah.
what their relation is because they're just two naked hot people, and you're like, go for it, yay.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
don't project yourself in there. If the person looks like your mom and your sister, you'd be like, I can't
No,
watch this.
that's never been like that's never and I wondered, right?
Do you
Because
have
it is
porn that looks like your family?
no, no, never
Good,
never
that's good.
seen that.
That's
But
important.
no, but no, because my family's not like, my sister's pretty, but my mom's not like nothing really to look at. Now your mom is a whole nother story. So
She's a
why
hot
do you have
pencil,
two
man.
turntables and a microphone up right now? Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're talking about porn. That's right. Incest is best. If you can't keep it in your pants, keep it in the family.
Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I have your attention, please?
Let me take you on a trip.
We're now ready for
Just
takeoff.
a simple journey.
Hey DJ,
A
why don't you
journey
play something different?
Now
check this out. Go!
And beef.
This is your DJ, live behind the turntables.
What is that? They switched it up. They switched up the tunes. Assholes. So this is
in the mix. Check this out. Here we go.
just to fuck around. It's fun. Where all these links are dead. These are old.
Give me blue balls, just so you know. I was ready to finish, and you kind of
Oh, were
took
you?
it away from
I'm
me.
sorry. Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, you took it away from me.
I
don't
should
know
have
if you
actually.
understand that.
Look, it's got some cool stuff on here. So this is u.dj. You can play it for free and have certain access to limited functionality. Or it's like $9.99. You can own it and have everything here. You can get stuff off of SoundCloud. Not SoundCloud. SoundCloud blocks them now. YouTube. You can play anything off of YouTube and mix it. They have a bunch of pre-mixed stuff, and you can get it on your phone. You can DJ a party. It's kind of fun actually. And then you can import your own music if you have your own music, or you can pick stuff that's already here.
I just wanna. Everybody now.
Change it to BPM.
I just wanna.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's get ready to rumble. Callers coming in from Oshkosh, Wisconsin. I don't know why I do, but I hate it.
This is a cool mix though. Just
Here comes Star Wars. Yep.
part? All right, anyway. I'm sure I'm going to get hit by copyright for that fucking part.
Oh, you're not supposed to. I thought you said all that was.
I don't know. I don't know if it's mixed well enough. I'm not sure. I don't think I got a hit for it actually. I don't think I did.
Got
You
a
can
couple
import
of bots in the room right now. It's I don't even know how to pronounce those names.
some Russian.
But Mama Fox is in there saying, "Oh my God, you guys are fucking awesome." Just saying, LMAO.
She's like, you guys are amazing. You guys are so amazing.
You guys are so cool.
I found a really cool what's it called? An AI text to speech reader. Okay, and so some of the work that I do requires voices inside. When you call a place and they answer the phone, like the auto attendant, it requires that I use voices to do that. Because otherwise it's my voice, and my voice is deep, and it doesn't play as well through a phone line and an 8 megahertz signal. I tend to overmodulate that. So my voice is all over my company's IVR. It'll tell you, like, thank you for calling JD, whatever. McDonald's.
Burger King.
So, well, here's the part where I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to get myself in trouble, but maybe I'll try and block out my company's name audibly. I made a commercial, a spoof commercial with this AI voice just for shits and giggles at like 4 o'clock in the morning when I was having to update something earlier this week. And it made me laugh because, well, I make me laugh because I say and do ridiculous things. So let's see if I have
I hadn't noticed.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. I'm glad. Don't stop. So let's see if I can get it up. Oh yeah, anyways, since my relationship, my point was my testicles have gotten larger. I wake up, I piss my own face. And yeah, I'm pretty much and that's a first. That's a first. I'm just saying. She's like, she's like, I love you. I love you, right? I'm like, yeah. She's like, so as time goes on, like if I actually need a day off, is that going to be an issue? She's like,
so you don't think a lot of that's mental?
No.
Really?
Well, no, it's mental, yes. The physiological change is real, though.
Yeah, but you don't think one causes the other?
Well, obviously, yeah, there's got to be impact because if I didn't feel this way and have this connection,
right,
then I wouldn't have a physical response. But it's a different. I have never had a physical response that was something reverses itself naturally, and it's not like take Cialis, you get a harder wiener. All the markers are going back in age, which is frightening. I'm probably going to wind up with twins. Sorry, sweetheart, for if I don't think that wouldn't offend her. She'd be like, "Oh, that's true. He has big balls." I was like, "Wait, that? Yeah. What the fuck?" Find out that I like have testicular cancer like in a week. We'll see.
And
But
there's Jeff bringing it.
No, you were growing a third nut. Actually, it descended. You had it there the whole time.
Most people call this unification of the nuts, but you, Jeffrey, it's try nuts. Try not to spill it all over the place. That's what we say.
So,
I'm sorry. I think we're saying the same thing. You're just feeling a different way. I think mentally, that's where I was going with my scenario. Is that I think if you're not mentally into the scenario that you're in,
right,
then you're not going to have what you have going on. So I really think mental first, because you're obviously totally into this chick. In not only, so I think it's so we talked about yesterday, Tuesday, but I don't think we uniformly agreed on it. But I think it's physical, mental, and spiritual. I
Yeah.
think those are the three things that you need to rock and roll. And I think if all of a sudden you're in a place where all those three things are fucking singing the same song, brother, I
Yeah.
think it's a whole nother animal. I really do.
Agreed.
So,
So can you find the love of your life, and then you don't need testosterone replacement, and you'll live longer? But that's a fact. Did you know that my mortality rate just changed for the positive?
well, that's good, because according to your doctor, you're supposed to be dead like 10 years ago.
I know.
Yeah, that's good. That's good.
But
That's
it's
good.
true. That's interesting. I mean, I know the statistics on most things.
It's easy for you to say there, fella.
I know that. So I know the
been
mortality
drinking too?
stats because it's the work that I do in retirement planning finance.
Right.
We got to know these things. We got to know mortality tables. We got to know.
Sound like an actuary, you fuck.
It is all actuarial data. We can tell you if you're age 65 and you're married, you then have a 50-50 shot of both of you living to past 90. If you're 65 and you're divorced, your mortality.
But do they ask you the question if you hate your fucking wife at that age? Or...
No, but even that, this is the crazy part. You don't have to have a harmonious relationship in order to live that long, because you take care of each other. You can have a nagging wife who makes you make better choices, and that's going to save your life. Take your vitamins, brush your teeth. I know, because in the 4.5 years that I was not accountable to anyone or myself because I didn't feel like it, I didn't care enough about myself during probably the first 2 years. I made bad choices all the time, and it wasn't just like go to a rave and do shit like that. It was drive without my seatbelt on always because I didn't care anymore. Speed really fast whenever I felt like it, anywhere. While texting on my phone or not looking at. I was crazy.
What was that guy's name again?
Driving with my fucking knee at 90 miles an hour and just being like, whatever, it don't fucking matter. It was crazy, and it was just like little things. It wasn't like an attempt to make bad choices. It was
kind of like let fate fucking deal the hand and see what happens.
It was almost like just the amount of things that I was so stressed about, and then the amount of things I didn't love anymore. It just made me like I drive 200 miles every weekend just to be with my kids. That's just getting them, coming back, doing stuff, dropping them off. Putting 20,000 miles on my car in 6 months. Like, there's just so many things that I was more focused on that I was like, oh, well, fuck all this other stuff. But when your life slows down and you have somebody there with you to be like, we're slowing down.
Because we're not filling in the holes ourselves. Other people are.
Right. We balance each other. There's no effort. It's joy. Then you get yelled at for not putting on your seatbelt. I'm like, it's a bad old habit. I don't know what to tell you. Ding, 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 ding. I'm like, you can pop that out, right? Watch, it's a fuse. Fucking. No. Anyways, let me see if I can. I want to see if I can play this without. Where's the? Here we go. Oh, where? Oh shit. Okay.
Are you within the retirement red zone?
I
Are
believe
you
I am.
afraid that you won't be able to retire with confidence? What if your Social Security is spent by the crooked left-wing Marxist ideologues? Well, listen up. Does JD Financial have a solution for you? JD Melberg
Oh
Financial
shit.
has been hating left-wing Marxist ideologues for more than 15 years. That's right, sheeple. If it wasn't for the politicians meddling as usual and trying to create a dystopian society of trans rapist pangolin eaters, you wouldn't know what the fuck to do with yourselves. Call now. 800-555-5555. That's 800-555.
That sounds like a fake number.
Call now. Use the phrase that pays. Let's go, Brandon. To not be disconnected in queue. Email where our pronouns are go fuck and yourself.
Where our pronouns are go fuck and yourself. I'm gonna try and get it on the radio. What do you think?
I think you should do it.
Yeah, the AI voice was pretty good though, huh? Not bad. It could have been better. I didn't put work into, changing some inflections, but it's actually the company that it's I believe it's called Well Said is the company that generated this AI model through the Einstein model of text to speech and live intent inflection. It's actually the top that's being used across all the companies and robotic companies that are making AI. The models are crazy how they can actually sound human. So try it out, guys. If you ever want to say goofy, have somebody other than yourself voice some crazy stuff, just look up AI voice models or text to speech online. You can go plug in whatever you want. It'll say whatever you want. You can change the voices, make it a little kid, make it 800 different varieties, and then if you want to call your
Are you a firefighter?
if you want to call your mother or somebody, mess with them.
Sorry. That was a good callback. I don't give a fuck who you are. That
Woo,
was a
woo,
good
woo.
callback.
I just can't help myself. I just run out into the street and I push. I
It's
bend
like, oh
over.
my god!
Come get me.
I gotta pee, but it's an erection.
Hey, we'll do mental health.
I don't even know what the fuck I wanted to talk about.
Before mental health, update on 2 days post acupuncture.
Oh, did you go again or no?
No.
Not yet?
I went on
Okay.
Tuesday. I can't go for another 10 days. So, day of acupuncture, Tuesday, they said, don't drink alcohol. I said, oh, okay, I won't.
Well, you don't really
damn it.
drink, so.
And, yeah, just get some rest, drink a lot of water. So I did, minus staying up until 1 a.m. doing the podcast. Next day was kind of like a normal day, uncomfortable. Wednesday, yesterday, I basically went, I can work standing up at a desk out where all the noise and the people are. Or I have an office where I can record stuff and then focus on my development work. Wednesday, I was kind of like, and I spent the whole day, I didn't talk hardly to anybody. I saw my boss look at me across the room like 4 times all day. And even at live, he's like, he didn't even say goodbye. He just kind of looked like, I was like, well, whatever. I'll get up and I'll leave now. I isolated myself all day, which was interesting, but I didn't, my back still hurt, everything. I was in pain. So I was grumpy and I was, fuck. Standing.
You think more so than normal?
A little bit, probably
Okay.
a little bit, but
Okay.
kind of as much as normal. But for some reason, I just didn't feel like dealing with it. I'm just like, I don't feel like standing out here and trying to smile at people because I don't care. That happens sometimes.
Okay.
Last night, did a podcast with Johnny D Leon. He's the Hispanic guy with the cute mustache, salsa dancer, actor. He's on IMDb. Kind of a spiritual dude, and when we talked, it was a really good show. We talked about why, as humans, we focus on the negative. Why are the memories that are most prevalent in our mind are the painful memories or the traumatic ones, the things that we cycle back to. So we had kind of a discussion about why we're wired that way and why we do it. He talks about balancing masculine and feminine energy and living in the moment. Like, you have to be very, very conscious to live in the moment. And we talked about the things throughout your life that are very positively impactful also. Overall, it was a solid 2 hours. Basically, like, we're wired to be negative, so you're going to have to push hard to be positive, and you have to do it. It has to be a conscious decision.
Can we dissect that a little bit? Why do you think we're wired to be negative?
We're wired to feel pain, or we're wired to feel emotional and traumatic pain. Why? I think the alien who made us to come down here and mine the stuff that we're obviously mining for them needed this. They needed this amount of struggle in order for our species to survive. How else are you gonna have a population kill itself often enough and destroy itself if it's not wired to do so? I don't know. So, if, what's the biological nature of man, humankind? Why is our engine set up with the hormones that are set up to drive it? And then why is it easy to create deficits in those things? That the deficit parts are the parts that create pain, trauma, depression. Those are the easiest chemicals to deplete, not the easiest ones to gain.
So once you've no longer become physically useful,
Mm-hmm.
you think it's the body's or the brain / body's job to destroy oneself?
Or change the nature of how, I mean,
No, I'm asking. I'm
I mean,
not being a dick.
no, I know. I mean, I don't have an answer. I don't know I don't know if anybody has the answer, which is the whole self-help thing. We're hurtling towards our death at an incredible rate of speed, and along the way, knowing we can't stop it, we're trying to figure out why we're here and what we're supposed to be doing here. So why is it that as a species that we seem to thrive on pain? It's like we like it. We watch it. It's what gets our attention. It's when you market, it's not marketing to joy. They market to pain. Because we
Do you think that's changed? Do you think it used to be marketed to joy? And do you think that's changed maybe in the last 20 years, that it's more about pain than joy? Again, I'm just asking.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, commercialism was, 1950s. You want the stuff that your neighbor has, and everybody, people who grew up in that generation, they felt like it was a more positive generation. Everybody wore their Stetson hats, and the women had purpose, and it was good, and there was no shame in raising your kids and being having a pleasant dinner with your husband and considering that to be a worthy fucking goal.
Do you think it's because the life expectancy has increased in the last 20 years or maybe even last 50 years, where people were dying in their 60s on a regular basis and not living to 80? Do you think it's a normal self-correction in the mental I don't know what the right phrase is going to be, but I'm curious. I'm curious. No, because it makes sense to me what you're saying, and I'm just curious, why do you think that is? Because I think that the life expectancy,
just like my testicles, there's going to be influence that's going to, if everything is here, you're going to have a physical change that goes with it, right? Jeff's balls, Dad's nuts, D's nuts.
Self-help.
Hey, if you're watching video on demand, I'm sorry, but welcome. Hey, if you're here live, thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, you're a sick fuck.
Please. Buy the coffee table book.
No, because you make a comment and it makes me think, oh, you got to make sure you have D's nuts. That's right. D's nuts available right now at MasterCard and Visa. Thank you.
Cash App is at GB Sinatra. Please. Cash App me $5. Be a friend. Let me see it come through. My phone will ding. I'll give you a shout out.
When he says come, it's spelled C-U-M, by the way, kids.
Yeah. D's nuts. This was my daughter who turned 15 today. She's the one who said, I said, hey, I got to design my own card. What should it be? And she said, D's nuts. And I was like, yeah. Well, okay, we did it. People love this card when I hand it to them. Here you go. They're like, those are the women. Go ahead, sir.
Go ahead. What?
Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, do you think it's a biological thing, right? So we were designed probably to last into our 40s, 50s max originally, first time around. And now you have people dying in the 80s and 90s.
Right.
So do you think that's where it comes from?
No. When God told Noah he was going to flood the earth and wipe out his mistakes, especially the fallen angels who came down and fucked the humans and made giants. You guys remember that story? It's about 3 sentences in Genesis at the end.
The Anunnaki.
You guys need, yes, you got to pay attention. There were giants that roamed the earth, and that's why he wiped it out. They came from the angels who were angry at God for having better creatures, so they came down and they
Well,
raped
no,
all the
more
women.
love. They had more. He had more love for the creatures that he created.
The bastardized creatures, he had more love for them
Correct.
than the angels in heaven,
Correct.
which were a product
So
of angels.
so go ahead,
screwing
keep
humans.
going with that because this is interesting to me. So
Methuselah, 969 years old, was the like uncle of Noah, and after he was the oldest living person in
that was
existence.
an Enoch.
No, it no, it was in Genesis. It's at the end.
Okay.
Enoch was the one that was taken from the Bible, and then you can get a version of it to read
Right,
the
because that was
rest
the
of the story.
Treaty of Versailles. No,
It was the
what was the meeting where they all decided which
Third Council of Nicaea.
Versailles. Oh,
Nicaea.
God damn it! Nicaea. I always get the Treaty of Versailles, which is I think World War One.
Yes.
And the Council in Nicaea, where they decided to take the books out of the Bible.
They had to take
and
the ones
actually
that were
met
too
with
fantastic.
all the major religions around the world and said, "Okay, boys, here's how it's going to work.
Here's how it's going to work.
You Buddhists, yeah, you're in. You guys that believe in Muhammad, yeah, you're in. Jews, you've had enough trouble. You're in. Christians, okay, you're in. Everybody else, you're fucked. You're no longer considered a major religion. And you fuckers that you were measuring cubics by cubics to no, you're gone. No, that's too difficult for these monkeys to understand. You're out."
He's like, all you dirt worshipping pagans, check this out. We're just going to take your.
You never existed.
We're going to take your holidays and we're going to replace them.
Oh, that's true. We're going to bastardize the shit out of them.
Yeah.
But your religion never existed.
They're like, your winter solstice,
sorry.
that's when Jesus was born. They're like, no, he was born in the springtime. We're like, no, the spring harvest, that's when he died. We're having to make a map here, people.
And then we're going to give a man with some reindeer, and that is Jesus's
Where did
birthday.
where did the Nordic slave owner guy come from? They're like, well, we had a visitor from Sweden, so we're like, well, bring your clogs and your racist reindeer rider, and
he's white as the
they still have him.
snow.
What is it? Black Bart was his primary slave, and then he didn't have elves, guys. He had black slaves. That was it. They still do it in other parts of the world.
Versailles. I always forget
Stuff.
Yeah.
First council and third council.
Nicaea. Jesus Christ! I did it again. I said Versailles.
No,
But that's some interesting
in
shit
there.
for anybody who thinks there's a conspiracy in religion. There is, because
No, it's not. It's true. There was no conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy.
There were decisions.
Well,
there were decisions
that's the
made.
conspiracy, where they decided that certain things would stay and other things wouldn't because
One ring to rule them
popular
all.
vote.
Catholic means universal. They knew what they were doing.
That's very interesting stuff.
And it was Caesar was the one who adopted Christianity as the religion to replace all the Roman gods, all the pagan rituals. He's like, I like this one. I think we're going to work it out. And you know what? This is the official religion now. You guys got a problem with that? Suck it. I'll kill you. There's no conspiracy, guys. Religion was established in order to control the masses. It doesn't mean their theories are bad. It doesn't even mean that the churches are bad.
Well, I was going to say it doesn't mean the
It
lessons.
doesn't mean any of it's bad.
Yeah, it doesn't mean any of it's bad.
Mormonism is as literally psychotic. The stories that they've come up with, it's crazy. Joseph Smith just wanted to hump a lot of people and not be punished by the Adventists.
Wear magic underwear, apparently, which is the
But
part that I can never.
Here's
get
the thing. This is a true story. Mormons, all the Mormons I've known, all of them have been literally nicer than any other group of people and as individuals, period. And I'm like, that's amazing. You come from a crazy ass background story that's only 200 or 100, 200 years old. And it's nuts. You guys, Joseph Smith stole Masonic ritual because he became a Mason. And he goes, I like this lodge thing. And I like the apron. And I like the magic underwear. I'm gonna put the compass and square on magic underwear. I'm gonna sell that as you can get sealed in the temple. I'm like, 2 weeks after he became a Master Mason, he hijacked all the symbolism from it and said, hey guys, look what God told me. I'm like,
Well, was it
guys,
God or was it the Native American that apparently he met in the woods?
no, that was the Angel Moroni. I'm sorry, the Angel Moroni came and spoke to him, and the magic salamander. Okay,
And then
stop.
the gold tablets that only he could read. Is that
Well, he was given special glasses by the Angel Moroni, so then he, with his special goggles, was able to read the plates and then tell of the story of the Lamanites and
tablets?
you know
Tablets is a different religion.
the 144 tribes of Israel. They happened in the U.S. simultaneously, and those were the the dark Indians were actually the bad Jews in America back in the day. Did you know that happened? At the same time, shit was happening in the Middle East. It was happening in America.
It's like
And
the
then
flood happening
then
all over
the
the world at
slaves.
the same time.
This was his theory. The slaves were descendants of the dark, ugly Jew people who were bad that God hated in America, and the American Indians, they were remnants of that too.
The
So when you
ones
look
with
at
the
them,
big
it's not their
noses, right?
fault. God
Evil
just
Jews, right.
God did not like them. They literally had to change that tune like in the last 40 years because they were like, hey, we need to let black people in the church. They're like, no, but literally he wrote it. He wrote it when it was acceptable to be like Indians and black people are the byproduct of God's hatred. And then they're like, we have to fix that. And they're like, we can't. We're standing by this. Like, we have to. Hold on. Elder Joe. Huh. I got the goggles on. It says, sorry. It's so dumb to me. Hold on.
It's not as bad as Scientology.
It says, the blackies are fine.
Scientology is worse.
I'm sorry, the coloreds are acceptable. Stop. Stop. I don't know what to say. Okay, just he's had the goggles. You guys are in. Thanks. Why would you want to join? So strange. Civil rights happened a long time ago, but it's 1983. Welcome to the church. It's truly Mormons, nicest people in the world. I said, how'd you get there from this? This is some crazy stuff, guys. Crazy stuff. So you're going to have as many kids as possible because you need them to be slaves when you are the God of your own universe when you die. Because Joseph had to keep selling more shit because people were jumping ship. They were like, God, hey, look, everyone wants you dead, Joe. And you keep fucking everybody's wives and kids. He's like, well, how about this? You come with me to Nauvoo, and you're going to be a god. He's like, what? What do you mean I'm going to be a god? Well, you know all the children you had, 18 of them, with your wives, right? Look, I'm not going to steal all your wives. I'll leave a couple, and I'm not going to rape all your daughters, just most of them. Okay, if they're over 9, but otherwise, here's the thing: keep having more kids for me. You know what I mean? And when you die, because you're going to have the special anointment, yeah, I'm going to anoint you specially. You're going to be the god of your own celestial kingdom, and all these fuckers will be your slaves. I mean, a lot of them will be my slaves because I fucked them and I took them, but that still, you'll have enough left over. So keep having kids because you need to have slaves when you're a celestial being. They're like, that makes sense. Shit, I'm in, Joe. Let's go. Honey, you're going with him. Kids, we can have more of you. I'm going to be a god someday. They never start with that book when they come to your door because they're not allowed to read it. We have the Book of Mormon. Like, no. Let's get to Doctrines and Covenants. Let's read that one. Pearl of Great. Oh, the Pearl. I can't read Pearl. I can, and I did, and I have some questions. Where's your elder?
So
I don't know how this went crazy.
I was gonna say segues for kids and mall cops. Holy fuck! I was like, where did that come from?
You have no idea the amount of crap that is in my head.
Well, yeah,
Thousands of books. Thousands. Like
thousands.
multiple thousands.
See, and that's why I don't read, kids, and that's why I don't have these problems.
Here's the thing. If you want to have an opinion about something, it helps that you go ahead and research it and find out what your opinion might be. I don't need social media to tell me the things I say are highly offensive and probably have me canceled. But I'm not speaking untruths. That's a fact. Prove me wrong. So it doesn't mean I'm gonna be right. YouTube's like, goodbye, pew, goodbye, pew. Wait, vaccines are good for you guys, so just take them. Like, stop being an asshole.
There he is. There he is. Ladies and gentlemen, at 12:19 a.m. Mountain Standard Time.
I wanted to throw a positive in there, so if
We
like,
went with vaccines are good, and
yeah, they are good.
Don't let anybody tell you otherwise.
Yeah, see what happens? I just balance it out. They're like, he went on a rant about Joseph Smith raping children. Okay, hold on, that's probably an issue.
But he said vaccines are good.
But vaccines are great, so we're going to keep them. No strikes. We're going to give you fans.
Russian bots deploy.
You have to pick the right topic. Oh, all right.
Are you okay now?
Yeah, I'm better now.
Are you sure?
The acupuncture worked. Something worked.
It didn't, because you said no.
No, listen. The day after.
I have listened.
Pain. Today.
I have listened.
I put on my back brace when I got up. I was a little bit creaky, but not
Can we go back to the work thing, though? You said that at work,
the day before,
it was even worse.
The day before.
So
Today's
day
Thursday.
after?
The day after, I was not better. I was probably a little bit worse.
Did you feel any kind of nauseousness or diarrhea situation that she said that may happen?
No.
Okay.
No runny nose, no.
You weren't more snotty than normal? Okay.
Nothing that I noticed. I mean, I was paying attention to it. I lethargic, right? I'm assuming if I think about why would I isolate myself, and I was feeling something.
Okay.
Because I was feeling overall worse. Mentally, I wasn't feeling very happy. So there was something going on. Because I didn't have any specific reason to isolate myself and work in the closet all day, But I did. This morning I got up and I wasn't paying attention to it specifically, but I was moving better in hindsight, a little quicker, a little more comfortably. I went to work, I put on my back brace, went to work, I stood at my desk, I worked at my desk, I played music for everybody, I made people laugh, I engaged.
Okay.
Because I'm like, the atmosphere is it's so boring. And even though it's not my job, I'm not managing people directly anymore, I still impact people. I know if I engage, they have fun, performance is better. I had fun. I took over the music. I'm like, fuck EDM. And I played fun music and sound effects and was goofy for a while, and everybody was having fun, and I was having fun. So I did that for a few hours, and I realized at 3:30 in the afternoon, I had been working minus 1 pee break. I had been working standing at my desk for like the last 7 hours. And I was like, usually I'd tap out because I would be fatigued. Usually at this point, I feel like my core is collapsing and I can't hold myself up properly. My back is weak. And I'm like, I am in pain. Let me go sit down and be in pain. At least I'm closer to the ground if I fall. 3:30 comes, I'm like, I have things I need to do in quiet. So I'm going to go do that. But I didn't feel like I also needed to get away. So I was like, hey, I'm going to go. He's like, yeah, I know. I got to work where it's quiet. I'm like, it is noisy, and I'm trying to make things not broken. He's like, no, it's fine. It's fine. I was just teasing you. I'm like, oh, okay. Usually I get attitude.
So a good question from the chat room, putting on your shoes this morning. How'd that go?
Yeah. In hindsight, I did not have much of an issue.
Well, it's a positive.
Yeah. I didn't, you don't realize when things go right. You realize when things go wrong.
Correct.
So then I'm like, okay, well, I got up and I went, brushed my teeth, and I just went out the door rather quickly, which means I just put them on. Like, all right, let's go. Huh. So then when I got off, I went, got back in my car, and except for my hip, and I have some latent nerve issue with my groin muscle. I think I was grunting and preparing for the pain more than I actually had the pain. Because I remember sitting down, like, in my car. And I'm like, did I need to do that? Or is I'm taking a breath because I'm preparing myself for the explosion of pain when I move? So when I got out of my car, and aside from the fact that my spine went click when I pivoted, which it does, I was like, oh. I was like, wait a second. My legs are a little shaky, but it's because they're weak comparatively. And I was like, wait a second. What the fuck is going on? There's usually a lot of noise that goes with this movement. There's usually a lot when I stretch out. When I step up, I'm like, and it was like, no pain. 0.
Interesting.
I have, like I said, I have still where parts are weak because I've been unable to fix them up to this point. I can still feel that. No pain. And it's
That's
gotten
good.
better as the night has gone on.
So do you think the next day is just the body adapting to what's happened the day before, and you think that, or mentally you were, that's why you wanted to be by yourself? And so what do you think caused the day after? I'm curious about the day after.
Well, so I guess as she warned, she said, like, basically things are going to start shifting. So you're going to have an effect somehow. Like, don't let it stress you out. She was like, it might be your eyes are watering, you're snotty, and you're getting congested. You have, like, if things start moving and changing and, leaking, it happens. Now, she didn't say, it could happen in a bunch of different ways. You might just feel like you right before you get in the flu, and you just feel like, I'm not really wanting to interact with the world. You might be tired. You might be something. She didn't give me a lot of specifics. It's different for everybody, but just be aware. Stay hydrated. So to me, that makes sense. I think something was going on, and I was kind of hunkered down while it worked. Whatever. My daughter Kelsey explained it more to me. She's learning that, and she's also the massage therapist. And she's like, well, there's 12 meridians that, on your, your back from your neck down that are relative to different zones in your body where energy flows. I'm like, okay. It's I would relate it to dermatomes, which are the nerve pathways, the nerve roots that come off your spine from your C2 all the way down to your sacral 1 or your sacral 2, because you have 6 cervical, 12 thoracic, 5 lumbar, and 5 sacral vertebrae. And they relate to nerve roots that come off your spine and go to different parts of your body. C-spine is here, down. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You have neck pain. It radiates down into your fingers. Your C5 will come down to your pinky. They go up like this. You have numbness in your hands and your arms. It's from your nerve roots in your spine. Your thoracic comes out and it affects your, goes around your body, rib cage, impacts your heart rate, impacts your vagus nerve impact. So everything's connected through your central nervous system. Lumbar goes down your legs. Your 5th vertebrae will literally radiate, if it's pinched, down the back of your calf, out to your big toe. And that's why they'll check your reflexes. They're checking to see if you have nerve roots that are pinched. Something's going on with your nerves. Push with your foot. They check your big toe. They're just isolating where that issue might be. So I'm like, if it's like that, that makes sense to me. You can tell me there's energy. I'll tell you there's nerve path. It makes sense to me. There's something, right? I can relate. And she's like, yeah, usually you don't feel anything until you go to like 3 to 5 visits this is what she told me. Alice, who did the work, said you could start to feel something soon, or you might not feel anything dramatic, but we'll get back together in a week and a half and kind of continue that process of getting everything to flow correctly. And I said, well, I've meditated for years. I astral project when I sleep. I can I can do weird shit, guys. You ever hear those people who can travel on the astral plane and go places and see things that anyway.
Don't tease that. No. Do not tease that. Let's discuss it.
People who can you ever have an out of body experience before?
I have never, no.
Okay. I had to learn how to not do it. So
when did that start, and was there anything used?
No, when I was a kid.
Okay, so it was early in life, so
Very
not
early.
like where you weren't experimenting with mushrooms or acid or
I was
anything
like
that.
3. My earliest memories of it happening, and my parents had to deal with it. Neurologists called it night terrors because they didn't know what to call it. But it's an unsettling experience because you're falling asleep, and then you feel yourself start to escape from your physical body, and it's frightening, especially when you're a kid, and you try and wake yourself up, and it's kind of like your energy is literally tethered to your physical body, and you're kind of trying to get back into it.
So you said you experienced that when you were 3. You started that?
Yeah, it started when I was 3, and I would be screaming, basically trying to wake up, but I couldn't wake up. And my parents would.
What could you see? Do you remember?
I would go back and forth. I would go into the dark void, the darkness.
Okay.
Where everything's there's a lack of noise. It's devoid of any noise. Like,
so silence.
It's like a vacuum. It's not even silence.
Oh, it's beyond silence.
To try and describe silence would be that you can describe.
Well, no,
it,
I understand what you mean. So silent. What you're talking about is devoid of any noise whatsoever or existence.
It's a vacuum, and there's no.
Okay.
There's not a sensation except for your energy.
So when you would do this, would you see yourself? What would you see?
Yeah. I would basically be transitioning back and forth between trying to wake up and then
because of how young you were,
then I would pull away and I would see myself.
So has that continued? Has that continued all through your life?
I learned how to control it.
How?
Meditation. A couple times during this last COVID quarantine. Stress or things, being in a surreal environment, like being by yourself, for 5 days, 10 days, 14 days.
Right.
Things like that can start to, I start to relax in my environment so much that I invite that connection to happen.
So I was going to go to a defense mechanism, but that sounds the opposite of what you're talking about.
Exhaustion it'll happen because I'm not.
Because you're not tethered.
Right. And I'm not conscious of when. Like I stayed up for 3 days when I was like 18, 17, I think, and I went to finally go to sleep, and I was still living at my folks' house, and I woke. It's like 6 o'clock in the evening. I wake up and I'm like, oh no, and I feel it. I'm like, oh fuck, and I'm trying to wake myself up, and I had to go get my sister was there, and I'm like, help! I need your help! I need your help! But she's like, oh shit.
Whoa. Hold on. I want to keep going to this. So
I get the water bottle and spray you in the face. So I slap you. What do I do?
So how are you able to communicate with her? Or is this before you're about to leave your body? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. I started to detach and then I woke up, but then you're in the middle. You're
in between two.
It's like your head is buzzing, trying to escape, and and you're trying to hold it back.
But you're still able to communicate with people on the regular plane.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Because if once you detach,
that's where I
can tell you about that. That's a different experience.
Well, no, but that's where I was going with that question. Is that so? At that point, you had not yet detached completely. You knew it was coming. It's not to minimize or to compare it to something, but like somebody who knows they're going to have a seizure. There's
Yeah.
something in their vibration
Yes.
that they know is about to happen.
Yes.
So you were at the point where you knew that something was about to, well, you knew what was going to happen,
Yeah.
and you were trying to ask for help to your sister.
Like, wake me
Okay,
up.
gotcha.
Help me snap out of it, because if I close my eyes and I lay back
So
down,
there was a
I'm
big
gone.
gap of what we just talked about. You talked about when you were 3 years old, and then you just went to 18. So in between,
It
God
happened.
damn, I'm good at this. Holy shit, asking questions. I'm really good at this.
Yeah.
So between 3 and 18,
Yeah.
what's the story there? Was it not
Oh, no, it
prevalent?
happened. No, it happened. It happened
Okay.
regularly. Anxiety and stress would exacerbate it by
Okay.
far.
Again,
Um,
self, shit, what the word I'm looking for, but protection,
Self-preservation, basically.
preservation. Thank you.
See, I didn't know it was anxiety driven, because nobody would tell me that it was something other than he's having some sort of nightmares. Night terrors.
Gotcha.
It's a panic disorder of some sort. We don't know what to do with it. Good luck. Spray him in the face with a water bottle. Try and shock him. Wake him up. You got to shock him.
Well, it was also to disconnect the mind from the body. So did you find there was a certain, beside the anxiety, and what was the other thing you said? Anxiety and what?
Like anxiety and stress.
Okay.
Like I didn't
So
get my
were
homework
those
done.
were those the main factors, or did it also affect you when you were an unbelievable relaxation?
I was never unbelievably relaxed until I learned how to meditate.
Okay.
I was constant anxiety.
So it's purely based on that. Okay.
Correct.
Okay. So from age 3 to 18, because you skipped it, and I think that's important, right? Because that's a lot where we develop.
Well, I think you were asking if it's happened beyond 3, and I was kind of giving some markers. Like
You gave me 18 was the first marker you gave me.
I learned to control it when I learned to meditate when I was 12.
Okay, so you were already working on controlling it as an
yeah.
adolescent. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Well, no, because the first thing it thinks to right away, puberty, it smacks me in the face when anybody is talking about an experience that they have as a youth.
Right.
Those ages, I mean, it depends on when you develop and all those things, but and if this is uncomfortable, just let me know. I'll stop asking questions. But
I don't ever really talk about it with people, but I told my oldest daughter about it, so I was like, fine,
okay,
that's fine.
Well, no, to me, right, the red flag of ages is, and this is a general consensus, but you're talking between 11 and like 16 is a huge area of hormonal imbalance in a person's normal body. So I'm just curious, but you said that at 12 you had started to meditate.
It's actually hormonal perfection if you think about it.
Well,
your hormones are supposed to be where they are based on your development in order to.
So, but the constant battle is your mental ability to accept your hormonal change from those ages. That is the biggest. That is where most depression creeps into people's brains. That is where identity is formed. So, to me, those are such important years. And again, it depends on your development, right? Sometimes people say they start to develop at 10. I know for me, I was more of a late bloomer. I was more of a 13 to 16 guy, right? Mm-hmm. That's when talks of suicide came up in me for the first time ever. That's when all of a sudden I became fat, and I was never fat before. And then in high school I wasn't fat, but those ages for me, and then obviously
it's like this is why middle schoolers suck. I mean, it's your formative years when that shit happens.
Yeah, but so my question to you though, because I'm fascinated with the outer body experience, because as of right now, and I think we all suffer on a regular basis from mental block. I joke around all the time that the reason I'm fascinated with Sasquatch is because I swear to God, I must have seen something when I was a younger person. Now I can't prove it, and I don't know if that's true, and it's that memory has never come back. But I feel that those ages, between the ages of, let's say, 11 to 16, let's just give me those 5 years as an average. And again, everybody's different. it is the most pertinent developmental part of your human existence. And probably as we go further into history, as we go decade to decade, it's probably getting younger and younger because of the hormones in the food and things like
Right,
that.
yeah.
But overall, it is the constant struggle for your mental ability to comprehend what physically is going on and acceptance. So it is, to me, the most stressful years of your life by far. I don't give a shit. I've had kids when I had a kid before I was 20 years old. I've had people die that meant a certain thing to me that was like a life changing. But I still feel something that we all share in common is that age of what we would call, I would assume, puberty, but but it is the constant battle mentally for us to be able to accept what's physically happening. So I would like to go back to what you said. So you gave me a marker of 3 is when you started to notice it. 12, you started to meditate and understand. What got you to meditate? Where did that come from?
Well, between 3 and 12, it happened on every other month ish, probably 3 or 4 times a year. It would continue to manifest itself, to the point where when I was 11, my father, who was 6'3", like 265 pounds,
Right.
big guy, I picked him up and threw him across the room.
How old were you?
11. I was not a big 11-year-old.
I
I was tall for my age, but
God, I wonder if that happens to every guy. I'll tell my story, but go
but
ahead.
that wasn't the first time that happened. I had done it when I was 8. So here's the thing: I tossed my. They would try and hold me down, try and protect me because I would scream like blood curdling, like I was being murdered. Scream because I thought that if I allowed myself to detach, I would die. And I would be screaming and begging my parents, help me, help me, help me, help me, please, please help me.
What
help me.
was that?
And
Was
I
that
would-
to keep yourself from having that out of body experience?
I didn't see. I didn't know what it was. I thought I was going to die. So this
Okay.
was what I had to contend with. I didn't have a definition or the courage to explore because I didn't know it was something to explore. I thought I was dying, and I needed
Why though? Talk to me about that. Why do you think you were
the
dying?
vacuum of silence and darkness and non-existence.
Oh, okay. No. Okay, that clears that up for me. Okay.
Yeah, that's it. You don't know what else.
No, that's but for you to no, and I didn't mean to belittle by making that statement,
no.
but
It's
it
a good
totally
question.
made me understand now,
Yeah.
as a youth, that
Yeah.
the scariest thing is
It's
nothing.
non-existing. Yeah.
It's nothing, right?
Yeah, correct.
There is nothing. So go to your 8 years old. So you said the first time that you threw him across the room,
Yeah, probably about
and
8.
obviously a big physical guy.
Yeah.
And was this during one of the episodes
Yeah,
or
yeah.
okay.
As I'm struggling to try and wake up, and I'm begging, like I would yell, I would tell them to let me out. So understand this.
Yeah.
Let me out. I would beg, let me out, let me out, let me out, help me, let me out, let me out. And they're trying to just soothe me, and I would fucking just lose my fucking mind because
Your adrenaline must have been
I would
tapped.
go into
Absolutely.
the dark. And they didn't know what I wanted to be let out of. They let me out the front door once and just let me run down the street because they didn't know what to do with me.
Right.
They're like, go, you're out, go. And I ran out in the middle of the cul-de-sac, stopped.
Have
turned
you ever
around,
talked to your
and
mom about this
screamed-
since?
Yeah, screamed bloody murder.
Have you ever
Screamed bloody-
talked to your mom as an adult about this?
a little bit, yeah.
Okay, I'm just curious because I mean, obviously, Pops isn't around. My Pops isn't around, so that's one less person you could talk to about it. But I am curious. So did your mom? Because we're gonna go back. Oh God, I'm good at this. We're gonna actually, and like I said, 8 or 9 pints in, this is pretty good because I'm all focused. I'm totally focused right now. So 8 or 9 years. Oh, 8 years old. You said not 8 or 9. I don't
Yeah,
know
8
why
or
I
9.
said-
It was already hard to contain me physically, and I wasn't.
How often do you think this happened?
3 or 4 times a year, probably.
Okay.
Sometimes more frequently, depending.
Okay. And so when you talk to your mom about this, did you do, and this may be even something you want to talk about her now. I
Oh,
mean,
no.
to her now about is that, so were there certain things, because you talk about our earlier stress, and what was the other thing you used? Not anxiety.
Anxiety.
Oh, it was anxiety. Okay.
Yeah.
That you used that kind of triggered this.
Yeah.
So I wonder if it's a body self mechanism to kind of protect itself. And even though the void is not really where you want to go, but because the brain, again, because of where you are developmentally, maybe that's the place that your body and mind thought was the safest place for you.
Yes.
But as a child, there's
don't
no way
know.
you can comprehend something like that.
There's
There's no way.
There's no one on the other side to explain it to you.
No, there's absolutely nothing. So, and again, this is something as far as I know, I've never experienced anything like this. Now, I don't know. Someday, all of a sudden, I may all of a sudden realize, holy shit. But so what did mom say when you're more of an adult and you say to her, hey, that was some crazy shit that when I was younger? What did she say that her and your father were how they were trying to deal with it? Did they talk to you about that at all?
Oh yeah, of course. Yeah. They said first and foremost they felt helpless. Like, what do you do when
Fucking, that's terrifying.
your child basically thinks he's dying, and you can't stop it? Like they said, it's like the most unsettling, like horrible feeling that you can't console your child. There's nothing they could do. They would try everything they tried. I went to neurologists. I
was going to ask was there any professionals that were
Absolutely.
Neurologists? So awesome, by the way. Good to go on the parents that they went neurologists and the psychologists first.
Take me to my pediatrician. They're like, let's start here.
Right.
Something's wrong. It's not normal.
So,
guys, and my dad's like, it's not fucking normal. Like,
right.
Wrong.
So we talked about
without shaming me, which is
remarkable. Fucking awesome. Good for them.
Yeah.
Well, and you said something that actually almost made me cry. No, I'm not kidding either, because I get emotional now, especially at this age, where they said they felt helpless, and I got to tell you, as a kid,
it would break my heart.
Oh my fucking God, that is nightmarish to me.
Yeah.
I always said the scenario before I ever had children is the worst nightmare that I ever had was that I'd be in a car accident and then I died in the car accident. I think The Yearling did this to me, or whatever fucking movie it was with Ricky Schroeder, that I would have died and they'd be caught in the car and we'd be in the middle of nowhere and I couldn't help them. Yeah. That to me was and this is before I ever had kids. So anyway, not to bring it about me, that was stupid. I apologize. But so 8 years old, you throw your dad across the room, and the next day, let's talk about the next day. So did he say anything to you about it?
No, not specifically. I wouldn't always have a memory of it. Sometimes I would.
So you wouldn't, and I completely understand it, because again, that's the body trying to protect itself from a perceived
threat.
A threat, correct. So, but they never said anything to you about the physical, not the strength, but just the
kind of in passing. They'd be like, "Hey, do you remember last night?" And I'm like, "What?" And they're like, "No." I'm like, "No, not really."
Okay.
So I didn't remember every episode that happened, and they're like, "Yeah, well." Yeah, it was tough, And I'm like, oh, I wasn't aware of the physical threat, and that it was now becoming like they were trying to figure out what is it safe to have him here.
God, your adrenaline must have been spiked off the fucking roof, dude.
11 years old was when they're like Incredible Hulk bursting up and fucking humans flying against the wall, and then they were like, now he's only getting bigger.
Did this happen a particular time of day, or not?
After I went to bed.
After you went to sleep. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
God, so your body's way of correcting whatever happened during the day. That's very interesting. So, yep. And I'm not going to get into personal stuff, but I'm really interested in so your marker next was 12 years old. You learned to meditate. What put you on the road to meditation? Where did you even think about that at 12? I mean, that's a young age to meditate.
So I was already reading like a ton. I read everything I can get my hands on. Um,
Anything in particular that you were you researching what was going on?
not specifically. I mean, not yet. I mean, I I came about it through metaphysical, Eastern philosophy, Buddhism, um, Taoism,
Okay.
and the way I was able, the access that I had. My mother would take me to the library. I'd get like 9 books about serial killers and stay up and read them all because I was fascinated by things that scared me. My
Okay.
whole life has really been, if it scares me or intimidates me, I need to face it because it's not to face down that thing, but I become more brave every time I face anything.
Or numb to it.
No, not numb, brave.
No, numb to it. So the more and more you
I
experience it,
understand the psychology of it. It's not numbness.
it's
It's
numbness
not.
because when it becomes second hat, there isn't the reaction.
You can have
So
your perception, but don't tell me mine's wrong and I have to choose a different word.
numbness. So what we're talking about, so 11, 12 years old, you're going to the library and you're finding out about
Serial
uh
killers
Eastern, but yeah, but
and
so you brought up the serial
ritual
killers before you
disembowelment, how
talked
to kill
about wait,
yourself.
you talked about serial killers before you talked about how to meditate. Where did that come from? Because
I
that's
was
different than serial killers.
Wait, meditate? You want to? I'll tell you where meditate or
Yeah,
what is
you
serial
said
killers?
at 12 years old you
Oh,
started to meditate.
the serial killer thing was I was giving you an example of um, my curiosity about if I was intimidated by anything, I would dig into it and want to understand
Okay.
the mind and psychology of somebody who would do stuff like that. Um, People who went to prison, I would read people's biographies who were on death row. I would read all that stuff.
So
So
that's interesting because I
things that
asked you
scared me.
about 12 because you told me at 12 you started to meditate and I asked you, so what got you interested in meditating and you went right to serial killers. So I'm really curious
I
now.
was I'm setting I would a quick bit of backstory to set up where
Oh,
what you're asking me what made me even go learn to do it or go look for it.
right.
So what I'm telling you is things that scared me, I would go and dive in and read everything I could about it to
Okay.
try and understand it. If I could understand it, then I would know that well that's not me, or if it's something I want to avoid, I don't want to be in prison. Then I would understand what they did to get there and how not to do it. And it wasn't just commit a crime, but it's the whole thing, the life, their thought process, how they.
Okay.
I wanted to understand everything about people, like what makes somebody wind up going to death row and be, go through lethal injection.
Okay.
I want to
So,
read it.
but oh,
So because of that type of knowledge,
okay.
when my parents were talking about whether or not I can still live there safely with my family and seriously scared of me, and you still think you're a little kid, I had one of my worst fears was losing my family.
Okay.
The idea of my parents divorcing, I heard my raise their voice at each other once, and I was like, it's over. Sheer panic. The idea of not being with my family scared the shit out of me, like bad. This is why it's been so hard for me with my kids because to me it was equal to death.
And this is at 12 and 11 years old.
This is
that
my
you're
whole
doing?
that was my whole life. So at 12 I had to contend with whether or not I had to hear my parents talk about whether or not it was safe to have me in the house.
So do you think they were going to send you away?
They were going to if they had to.
Okay.
They had to figure out something. They could not have me risking my father. My father couldn't contain me.
Right. And he was a big
The
dude.
girls had no chance.
Right.
If I became violent and killed my sisters, like you don't know what you're contending with because you also have, as you said, you have puberty that goes with that. You have all
Right,
these
right, right,
hormonal
right.
things going on simultaneously. When you have an explosive strength that could throw a 265-pound man against a wall to where he goes, oh no, get out of
Right.
his way. But if you get out of his way, where is he charging?
And this was
He's
happening
blackout,
again. And this is
psychotic.
Again, this is
Yeah,
happening when you're going to sleep.
when I fall asleep, then I would come to realizing I was dying, which was actually the other thing that I had to learn.
Right. Okay.
So does that make sense? Why I'm giving you a little bit of foundation? So
Kind of. I thought you kind of went left field on that, and it confused the shit out of me. But so you were researching on how not to be a certain way.
right.
Okay.
I was already predisposed to trying to understand the things that scared me.
Okay.
I was already wired that way. With that wiring, I thought, if I'm a threat to my family and I'm going to potentially lose them because of this thing, I have to figure out what this thing is.
Gotcha. Okay. So going down the dark path. Okay. No. But no, I get it now. I get what you're talking about now.
I go all over the place. I'm hard to follow.
No. But and I'm not trying to be a dick. I'm trying to get your the path. I want to go down the path. So you realize that you're in a fucking situation here that, all right, number one, when I go to sleep and these things are happening, and again, you're going into the void when there's nothing, there's no sound, there's no, it's less than, there's less than nothing, which vacuum was a great way that you described it earlier. And I think that's really the only way that you can talk about that. So part of your educational journey was to look at these horrible people and how not to be like these horrible people, because you were very scared about, like you said, that if my family broke up, that would be worse than death. So what brought you onto the meditation side? Now talk to me a little bit about that.
Yeah, you actually helped complete that circle in a way that I didn't intend, but it makes more sense because I've not ever told this story. So not like this, not in this level of detail.
And again, anytime you want to tap, you just let me know.
Why was I wired to read prison books? Because my dad would be like, "What's wrong with you?" Like serial killer books, how to ritual disembowelment.
Well, I'm not that guy.
Samurai, how to commit seppuku.
Right. But I'm not that guy, and I'm gonna prove it to myself that I'm not that guy.
I think I realized something was wrong and I was a threat before they said it out loud.
Okay.
Because what is prison? It's alone. It's isolation.
Right.
It's being removed from everyone and everything. When I would have these attacks, these moments, I thought I was dying. Right. I thought I was dying, and that's what the darkness was. I was afraid. I was horrified that I was disappearing.
That has to be the most scary thing that anybody could ever fucking experience.
And then begging my parents to save me from something they didn't know what they were trying to save me from.
Right.
So
that's fucking heavy. That's super. And as a parent, can you now look through their eyes on how they must have felt? Holy fuck!
Yeah, I could back then. I could.
You could? See, yeah. I don't know if I could. I don't know if my adolescent brain could program that.
Fucking horrible guilt. I felt. I hated myself that I couldn't control that thing. I didn't know what it was. I couldn't control it. I scared them. I know I saw the look on their faces.
Right.
I saw my sister standing there in their doorways like, is he okay? Like, what's wrong?
Right. And that's heavy. And it's not a fucking, my kid's a piece of shit. It's, oh my God, I can't help my kid. That's that's heavy. That's insane. Especially for a young kid, an adolescent to fucking, to see, you were well advanced more than I was. Cause I would have never thought that way. And that must have fucking added to it on a level that many people can't understand. So let's go. I don't want to get off topic. I want to talk about meditation.
Yeah. So
where did you, so after the serial killer thing and, hey, I'm not this guy. I don't want to be this guy. I don't want to, whatever. Where did the meditation, did library also?
There was a a used bookstore right around the corner from my house, and I love bookstores. I love books. I love knowledge. I start. It's crazy. I'm starting to understand more things about myself now.
Sorry.
No, no. Thank you.
So
That thing is still there. But all right, well, I'll get to better. The
talk
ending's not bad.
talk
So,
about because that can help.
no, it's good. It's good.
All right.
I basically lived at this bookstore because I could trade in books and I can get credit, and I started with credit, and I lived at that place trading books back and getting, yeah, I loved it. So I'd just go around and I just read every section, like what are these about? I read the inside cover, and then when I got to the Eastern philosophy metaphysical section of the bookstore, I was like, what is all this stuff about? Like, let's check it out. And I remember I picked up a book on meditation, and I'm reading the back cover, and it's explaining, what it's about. Like, it's clearing your mind. It's to have a moment, whatever it might be. It's different for everyone, but it's to have these moments of being devoid of thought and being clear the mechanism and exist
Right.
with nothing. And the noise, as we call voices, to me it's really not voices. It's my voice is really pervasive.
All right.
But it's just trying to solve the universe constantly. But there's just one. For me, I remember reading this, and then I'm reading, where the author found it, and they went to, like a Buddhist monk retreat where he didn't speak for 30 days, and I was reading, I was like, he's talking about how his life was super stressful, and in New York, on stockbroker, like going from that, everything is chaos, to like he's basically gonna lose his fucking mind, and he had to find a way to get away from it all, so he didn't break down. Back then they called it nervous breakdown. What's a nervous breakdown?
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm a nervous breakdown. Strangely, I was well adjusted. I had friends. They had no idea of the shit that I was battling internally, which was yeah.
So is the
I'm going to lose everything,
meditation
or
is
I'm
the
going to
meditation
die.
is the meditation to clear the mechanism or to get control
Both.
of the mechanism?
So
Okay.
I learned both. So I got this book, Meditation, The Art of Meditation, red cover, $1.75. I went home and I read through it, and I'm looking for technique. Like, I don't need you to tell me the theory behind it. I understood the theory. It's gonna
Practical use. Right.
clear the mind.
Right.
That's what I needed. Can I control that? I thought, well, shit, if I can recreate this and I can slow things down, and that means that I have control of something. I didn't know if it was possible, so let's see if we could. So I followed the instructions for the simple first meditation, which, I'm sitting on the ground. I believe I put a, marker dot on the wall, 6 feet in front of
You
me.
focus on it or something? Is that what they tell you?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know anything about this, so that's why I'm asking.
Yeah. So the idea is the first simple step in meditation would be to start with focusing just your eyes on that mark, and you don't want to let you're going to control your vision is the first thing you're going to control, because your vision is going to try and pull as soon as you start thinking about something. You go in your head, your field of vision pulls back, and you notice this. So it's the first piece that you realize there is a physical element to mental control. So if you're looking at 6 feet away and focus solely on something the size of a quarter,
Right.
with both eyes, so you go down stereoscopic, and that's your thing. And the first instruction was to count to 10, up to 10, count back from 10, and that's all you're going to do. You're going to count 1, 2, 3,
Both eyes on it.
Both eyes on that mark,
Okay.
and you continue to, with your breath, 1, 2, 3, 4, out, and so I'm counting up and I'm counting back. Remember your breath, in, out, in, and I start finding a rhythm, and I'm like, I don't like 1 through 10, so I like 4. I'm gonna go with 4 is an even that's not too far away, and I go 3, 4, hold it. 2, 3, 4, exhale. 2, 3, 4, and I'm like, that's a rhythm. I can get my breath and a count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, hold it. 2, 3, 4, exhale. So, breath control that goes with that, it does 2 things physically for you. It's going to balance your oxygen, your carbon dioxide intake, which is going to open your lungs up, and it's going to give oxygen to your body where you need it, because you don't want to be devoid of oxygen, because you're trying to control your brain, which needs the most of it, right? So you kind of saturate a bit. The other thing that starts to happen is, because you're expanding your chest with that breath, you expand your diaphragm and you hold it. What you're doing is you're taking this vagus nerve, which runs down the center of your thoracic chest down through your abdomen. This is the nerve. This is the main nerve that, if you get hit in the solar plexus and you pass out, that's the vagus nerve. If you get a shot, if you're given blood and you have that, like that's kind of like a flinch or it's like a shock. You're like, oh, the startle reflex that will happen, and then you're watching yourself bleed out. Well, you're holding your breath and you're pushing on that nerve, not in a good way. And that nerve starts to go, it's controlling your central nervous system. And that's where the vagal response comes from, where you're like, oh, I'm going to pass out, giving blood. Oh, that's that. Right. That nerve does, a lot of shit happens through that. Most things happen through it.
I didn't know it was called the vagus nerve either.
Yeah, vagus, vagus. So that vagus nerve, you're basically expanding, holding, and contracting that. And by doing that, you're actually relaxing it. You want that to relax. It's an old trick that if you're going to get up in front of people and speak, and you feel like you're going to hyperventilate, you're having your nerves, is to take your fist right underneath your sternum and push hard. Because what you'll do is you're going to push on that nerve. You can do it right now. You can feel it. You can feel that nerve. You push on it. It stops it from spazzing out. That nerve misfiring is what is causing your anxiety. It's what's causing the panic. Is that nerve. There's so much energy conducted through that. By pushing on it, it's literally like taking a deep breath, but you're just pushing on that nerve, and it's going, stop. Like, you push on that nerve, and it's like, okay, I'm good. And this is your central nervous system fight or flight response comes through there too. It actually comes through your amygdala, says go, and then that says all the energy goes to your fast twitch muscles so you can get the fuck out of town, and it leaves your brain. All the blood leaves your brain, goes into your legs, and that's all triggered by that response. Boom, boom, pow, boom. So there's a physiological reaction. So
you're starting to focus on the dot. The first thing you're
on the dot. Now I'm breathing in a rhythm, and if you're focusing on your breath and a count, you're not thinking of anything except for that. Now what you have to do is vision, breath work, count, continue. Your brain will try to interrupt you constantly. Outside influences, noises, fleeting thoughts are the biggest pain in the ass, because you're like, I'm doing it. Your brain is trying to reward you, and then it's like, yeah, just like in baseball. And now you're thinking about baseball. You're like, fuck me. Back to the breath. 1, 2, 3, 4. So you're keeping this repetition. Now you have something physical that you're actually accomplishing, which is gaze, breath, count. And it took me about 15 minutes, maybe 20 minutes of doing that before I felt a noticeable change. And the noticeable change was to me, you know that THX sound at the end, right? The world is always at that level for me. I don't realize I'm living there, and we all are actually. There's a frequency that exists around you that is. That's why he made that THX thing that way. He made that intro that way because it hits that frequency, and you go, oh. It wakes you up and it gets you excited for the movie. He's not dumb.
Did you find that you were getting success with this right away?
Yeah, the first time. So I'm going to explain. This is how you know when you're there, because this is how I knew when I got there.
Okay.
15, 20 minutes in, those three things. I'm staring at that dot, and you can see in the peripheral, there's light. There's, there's room, bedroom around you, whatever it might be.
Right.
And as I'm breathing, starts to quiet down, softer. And I'm like, don't look away, just keep focus. And I notice something, it feels a little more still. And I'm like, oh, okay, keep going, breathe, count, stare, breathe, count, stare. And all of a sudden, my vision, I can see. I'm like, oh my God, what is happening? Don't break focus. And all I see is that dot. And I'm aware that all I see is that dot. I'm aware that I can't see anything other than that everything else has disappeared.
What's your reaction in your brain when that's going on?
I'm like, holy shit, without trying to get excited.
Right. Trying to maintain.
The noise goes away. You don't realize it's there until it's there. And there's something about when I transfer.
Yep.
When I transfer from plane to plane, it's noisy. It is so goddamn loud. It's like having fucking jackhammers in the fucking room. But I'll tell you about that.
We're not going anywhere, son.
So, that first time, and it's familiar. I know there's noise. I know I'm in a house. I know there's a clock. I know it's gone. I'm like, this feels familiar. No sound. I'm in sound physically. There's no sound. I am in this space physically. There's nothing to see, and all the way down that dot, and then that dot was black. So I didn't even realize when that dot was no longer, and I was in the black, right? I know I'm there physically. I'm still breathing. There's no vision. There's no sound. There's no noise. There's no physical sensation any longer. I can still feel the pattern of my breathing, kind of, it's soothing, because that's what I focused on the whole time was my breath, and that's not a scary thing. It's still a sensation. And then that's when I realized, oh, wherever I am, I'm there. I'm physically still something, which is less scary than what that other thing was, but this was my first introduction to one of these things are similar, right?
Right, and that's what's driving me nuts right now is that, I want to say to you, so you're in the void, but you're controlling the fact that you're in the void instead of the void.
I'm not in the astral plane yet. I'm not in that place. But
okay.
I recreated a reasonable facsimile in my head.
I was just going to ask,
I knew I was physical. I knew I was in my mind.
Right.
But then I realized that the similarity and connection between those two things is energy. And I'm like, whoa.
You also put yourself there.
I'm disappeared inside myself when I did it to myself. And I stayed there for a while. Just kind of trying to see. I didn't know what to search for. I didn't know what to do with it. I stayed in the peace and the quiet and the dark and the silence and it was my choice to be there. So then maybe a half hour later or so, I was like, okay, well, let's see if I can get back. And I felt nervous for a second. But I'm like, I can still feel my breath. I can feel my breathing. So I don't think I still think I'm okay because I'm attached to something physical still, or conceptually physical.
And you're 12 at the time? Of
12,
11 or
yeah.
12?
12, yeah.
12, okay.
And so I'm like, I don't remember how to get out of this. I remember thinking I'm in that thing. I mean, so what I did is I recreated like the imagery of like reversing it basically, and I'm like, I need to see the dot. I know I'm oriented towards something that helped me get there. So I was like, breath. Okay, my breath is still mine, kind of. So I start becoming conscious of my breathing until I can feel like, okay, now I can control that. There's some control there. And I'm like, I need to get my vision back. So I know the dot's there. I just have to willfully see the dot. I need to introduce the light back from that point back here. So breath is good. Counting. Do I count back? I'm going to count backwards. I'm going to count backwards. That sounds like a good escape plan. I should have read the whole chapter. You know? But then I'm like, see the dot, and then I finally see the dot, and I can feel like a tiny bit of breakthrough around it and a little bit of gray light. I'm like, okay, I'm there. And it's almost like imagining yourself riding a bicycle backwards.
Right.
And I'm kind of pedaling and breathing and seeing, okay, I will myself, and it starts to, it literally is like CG. This world is being created around me where it was not, because I'm willing it back into my existence. And it was really interesting.
So is it basically like the darkness is being filled in by what is actually there when that's happening?
It's like in that moment, yeah,
Okay.
but different otherwise.
Right. Well,
When-
it's not. So again, we talked about control earlier. This is something that you're controlling, or at least attempting to control, where the void is something that's being put that you're being put there against your will. This
Yeah.
is kind of your will.
My will put me into a similar a parallel space.
Correct. Or like
parallel
you
space.
said, kind of like a parallel kind of
A reasonable facsimile of
reasonable facsimile.
thing.
That's the phrase you used earlier.
Yeah.
That's fascinating. So when you do that, and it's getting, and this is amazing because it's the first time you tried this. You didn't even read the fucking second chapter.
I didn't
you
read the whole
bastard.
thing. How do you get out of it? I'm pretty sure you can.
Right.
Just panic. Scream, Mom, help me. I'm dying.
Right. So you do that,
Yeah.
and after you pull back and you see the dot at first,
Mm-hmm.
and then the light comes in, and we talked about gray light, and I'm assuming that was just the color of the color of the room.
Yeah.
And it's changing from darkness to actually what most people would see if they looked on the wall.
Right. Yeah.
Did you get a sense of empowerment after that?
Yeah.
Was that?
I had a sense of relief.
Oh, see, that's interesting. So relief.
Yeah. I was.
Why do you think that was?
Because I just did that.
Mm.
I just put myself in a place I didn't know existed. In your head, it doesn't matter where it is. I controlled an outcome.
Right.
With not moving, perfectly still.
Right. Reading chapter 2.
I put myself in and out of a state that I didn't know was there before I picked up the book to read it.
What's the moments like besides? So you're back to, you see the whole room, everything is
I'm
normal.
sitting in my room. Now I'm just sitting there and I'm like, whoa.
Okay. And what's the feeling?
Things are still pretty quiet.
Okay.
I had this feeling of, I remember things. I was like, things were really noisy when I was going in. I realized how noisy the world was, right?
Right.
And I'm sitting there, I'm going, whoa, that was okay then. I'm a fucking God. No, I'm just kidding. I was like that. I was in awe. I wondered, is this real? And I had this moment where I thought, I had to recreate this physical existence around myself in order to realize it to be true. The only way I was able to get myself back to it was to recreate it from memory what it was. And I'm like, oh, is this actually what it was? It is? Or was that what it is? Because where I just was as equally as real as this was.
So you were skeptical when you came out of the first experience.
I was
Or then that
immediately like,
really happened.
I wasn't skeptical that it happened. I was skeptical
Okay.
whether or not the real world was real, or whether or not the
Okay.
other side was real. I realized there was a plane of existence all of a sudden.
Right. That's
That was like, wait a second. I know that was real because I put myself there, and I know this was real because I put myself here. How did I do it? I had to break down everything around me and disappear it in order to get there. And to get back to it, I had to recreate it.
Did you wonder whether or not you were back?
No, I knew I was back.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I had this very it was this empowering, and then at the same time going against modern religion and everything else, or metaphysics in general, or I understood metaphysics, physics, meta. It's all that. Oh shit!
Wow.
That if it's real on both sides, nobody knows both sides are there unless people have a reason to try and find out what that side fucking is.
Right.
There's billions of people who never experienced the reality of this not being here. The reality of your physical form being in a physical place and the rest of you not.
12 years old experiencing that.
Yeah.
That's heavy.
I got put into gifted classes and shit, you know? My IQ tested like really high. I was a threat.
Have to bring Jeff back. Whenever we get real, folks.
No.
Bring Jeff back.
No, seriously. It's not a joke what I'm telling you. My IQ tested off the chart in like the 4th grade. They thought I was retarded. Twice they were going to hold me back. 2nd grade, he's dumb. Something's wrong with him. He's broken. He didn't learn how to read until 2nd grade. 4th grade, he's not capable. We want to hold him back. I'm going through these battery of tests for what the fuck's going on inside my head, and why am I broken? Why am I crazy? Why am I insane? And then I have a teacher, my 3rd grade teacher, who thought I was a really bright kid, very precocious. Just he's a bit odd because he thinks well outside. He thinks at adult levels about stuff, so it makes him weird. His brain thinks differently than other people. She had heard about the night terror stuff from my mom, and then she's like, well, I want to test them, and she put me through a battery of tests and IQ tests and comprehension and problem solving and whatnot. And she was like, Mr. and Mrs. Adams, I have bad news for you. He doesn't need to be held back. He's being held back. Yeah, he's got a genius level IQ, and it's intimidating because you don't know what to do with him. They're like, what? He's been always in trouble, always get F's, fucking like everything. Like they're like, I was told I was fucking stupid. I was told I was lazy and I was stupid. Because I wasn't developing at the same pace as other people, but I wasn't being measured against it. I was being measured against their development, not mine. So it was this kind of weird kind of like, hey, guess what? You're actually really smart. I was like, well, yeah, I had a feeling, you know, and it's not an ego thing. It's really not. I went from we're going to be held back to put him in all the gifted shit. Just let him fucking go. Like, teach him chess, do that, like, go, do that stuff. And I was like, oh, well, shit, I've been thinking about quantum physics for a long time, guys.
I just didn't know they were called quantum physics.
Oh, you guys want to talk about, particle accelerators? I have an idea. I think I should go to CERN in Switzerland and help them out.
I feel like you have to hit 55 miles an hour, and it's got to be in a DeLorean.
Yeah, if you go 88 miles an hour, that flux capacitor, 1 point.
Is it 88? Is that what it was?
Yeah,
I thought it was 55.
1.21 gigawatts.
God, I hate those movies.
I liked them.
So
So there was a lot of things that kind of came to like.
So at that point, did you start to read more and more about metaphysical things? Did you start to really did you get a yearn for knowledge about how to maybe take it to the next level, or were you satisfied where you were because you felt that all of a sudden I had some control on this?
I've never been satisfied in my life. So
Sorry, Rebecca.
when it comes when it comes to like knowledge and understanding, so
Right.
I picked up every book in the metaphysics, and I'd be like, all right, what's the topic? And this is why this is the shelf help idea. We're all trying to find an answer to this thing. There's 250,000 books that somebody takes a fucking adjective and they're like, the adjective is fear. We're going to explore fear in 100,000 books. Like, fucking stop. You, I was too bright to fall for a bunch of fluff around no concept. So I would be like, okay, I don't care about your backstory. Give me a fact, a process, a procedure, an understanding. Give me something. What did you learn? And I would go through and I'd be like, okay, practical. This is something they learned. If it didn't build on something I already knew and it was redundant, I'm like, just fucking stupid. Next, how many stories about the dot do you want to hear? I'll tell it to you once. That's all you need.
Right.
Right? So everyone had stories about their dots. I'm like, I don't give a fuck. I don't need a variation of a dot. I need what's on the other side of the fucking dot.
Interesting.
So I would just go through hundreds, thousands. At one point, I donated 5,000 books to bookstores around San Diego to get them out as an adult. I was married. Before I moved to Tucson, I gave 5,000 books away. I got to Tucson, I accumulated 3,000 more fucking books in 2 years, gave those away. I'm like, I need to stop. Thank God. I found ways to get like ebooks eventually and how to get them for free. Go to Z Library. Z, letter Z, library.org. There are 9 million books, EPUB, Mobi, PDF form. The servers are in India. You could download them all for free. 9 million. Go.
So
Z Library.
we're at 12 years old.
Anyways, yeah.
You've discovered the dot.
I got the dot.
You discovered how to have some control.
Some control.
Over the scenario. Your school has changed from he's a retard to he's gifted.
Yeah.
And let his his freak flag fly.
Freak flag fly,
yeah. The next year you gave me an the original scenario was 18.
Yeah.
So what significantly changed?
Maybe not 18.
Oh, okay. Well, I thought you said
but late teens, yeah.
Okay. So late teens. So what happens then? That was a significant error of your timeline.
Yeah.
What happens at 18 in the late teens?
In the late teens. Well, there's a couple of things that happen in between. I started listening to talk radio when I was 12. Okay. I found that if I listened to people talking, communicating voices, ideas while I went to sleep,
Yep.
Then I can relax myself. And
because you could find something you could focus on and concentrate. Is
correct.
That why?
And that helped me with meditating. I didn't, I learned that you can meditate with breath and thought alone. Mm-hmm. You can absolutely do it. I learned mantras. I learned Om. I learned humming. I learned Nam Myoho Renge Kyo.
Right.
I would have mantras.
Okay, so for me, I find it's thunder and lightning, thunderstorms. Mm-hmm. It focuses all right before I go to sleep. It focuses all the voices to listen.
Alexa, good night.
Well, that for me,
If The lights went
Silence is-
out and thunder and lightning sound effects.
Yes, silence is terrible. Even as a child, I had the gerbil, the
Alexa,
gerbil running on the wheel,
I'm
the
home.
fish tank blubbing, blub 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 blub, or the fan running, and that seemed to focus any anxiety that I had before I went to sleep. I did try to count sheep. This would kill me. I wouldn't.
This
be
is
able
when I
to-
get home.
Oh,
The song is "I'm in Love with a Girl" by.
you can't say it because then we'll be in trouble. So okay, late teens. Why was that significant? What happened that you brought that up?
Alexa, stop. So, I had gained a lot of control because of the meditation. I learned other ways to calm my brain. Right. I used other tools, and I got fairly comfortable with keeping it away. And then I listened to Art Bell. Art Bell was this overnight radio show host from the Kingdom of Nye in Pahrump, Nevada, in his double-wide trailer with his wife, Ramona, Filipino. She died. He bought a new one a week later.
A new
Anyway,
wife.
yeah, literally from the Philippines.
Okay.
She was like 19. I'm in love. Art, you're insane. He's dead now.
Coast to coast AM.
Coast to coast, yes. Now it's George Norrie who took over.
I like
Art
him,
Bell.
but he's got a horrible wig. Horrible.
Art Bell was great. He had this voice, like, he smoked
Yeah.
cigarettes. And he used to do politics, and then it turned into space aliens, alternate theories,
Sasquatch, UFOs, everything.
yeah,
Yep.
all sorts of stuff. And that's when I started to learn about remote viewing a little bit, and which is astral. Yeah.
Well, no, explain it. Explain it.
So-
Don't just let that go.
Okay, so remote viewing is it's to control your state of mind so that you are able to separate your energy, and detach and go into what they call the astral plane. And the astral plane is the existence that is outside of your physical body. It's a metaphysical plane of existence that would be like another dimension that is, it's all around us. So let's say where there are particles, there is mass, and where there's particles, there is all these things that we're able to identify, and it's all particles. But in between that is the negative space between this physical stuff, molecules, atoms, is that negative space is the astral plane. And the understanding was that because we are all made of particles of energy, that you can take the energy of your mind, your body, your soul, that the thing that drives this this biomechanical engine, and you can take that and you can release, and now you can travel in this negative space, this astral plane, the darkness, the void, and you can will yourself to travel to any physical place in the world through that negative space, and you can observe things.
So
And
I think the most important thing that you just talked about, remote viewing, is controlling
what happens when
Correct.
you're in that space,
and that's
and
it's
willing
hugely
it.
important.
willing it to happen.
Correct.
So I
So
started to learn probably next year when I was 13, 14, I started to have an idea, and then I would start to hear a little more details. People would call into his show when I was 14 probably, and talk about it. And I'm like, okay, there's a government-sponsored program that when they found out that there are people who can do this, and it's called remote because your physical body stays in one place, your ability to view things goes wherever the fuck the target is that you're supposed to go to, and you go there, and then you come back and you report. and draw everything that you saw.
Sometimes a chair is necessary, right?
I don't remember.
Project Montauk is a huge part of this. Also, the Men Who Stare at Goats kids, if you want to see something about very similar
Yeah.
to what he's talking about. I mean, it's done as a funny movie, but it's actually based on real experiences. So go ahead. So Art Bell, and you said 13 you started
Hey,
to
13, 14,
Okay.
maybe. So during my meditation nighttime ritual, which would be to listen to these voices kind of, and soothe me off to sleep, and I'm good, I'm in control, I'm in peace, I'm out, I'm no problem. I thought, well, there's a way to prepare yourself to control. The first thing I learned to control was to control a dream. Because I would have these sex dreams that, would end in climax, but never because I was supposed to. It was like, I'm having sex, why can't I feel the fucking part, but I would come. And I wake up, I just came and it was great, but I wanted to feel what the vagina actually feels like. But then you realize I hadn't felt it, so I wouldn't know how to manifest it in my brain. I remember, you'd wake up from those dreams, like a sexual dream. You wake up and you have memory of it for a while. Or you have a dream that's very, very, very specific, where you feel honestly like you're interacting with it. There's something that feels very practical and real, and then there's always a fantastical element, like, I'm flying. Can I control that for a minute? And you can for a minute, until you realize I'm flying, and your brain goes, you can't fly, and then you wake up and you're like, oh, what was that dream? Right. I was flying, but why can't I control that flight longer than me recognizing that I felt like I wanted to, which allowed me to start. But as soon as I started, I didn't know how to control it because I've never done it, and my brain said, that's not practical. Now you wake up. Yeah, remember, we'd have dreams like that a lot, especially when you're going through those stages of development. So I was kind of relating those things to, like, okay, if supposedly I can control the outcome of a dream, I would like to, instead of when I say I'm flying, like, stop, I want to fly. I'm doing 250 miles an hour on a motorcycle. I want to feel like I'm actually doing it, not that I'm almost, So I would start to go through my meditation process, and I would start to imagine the process of falling asleep, alpha waves, beta, hitting that delta region, what that feels like to literally fall asleep, what it feels like to remember that, to acknowledge the first moment of your memory of a dream. I would have to, what does that feel like? I would have to have some sort of feeling, because if I didn't have a feeling to go with the moment, then there's no control, because I can control the feeling when I'm asleep. But there has to be a physical thing that I can relate it to. That's what I had to anchor myself into it. If you don't create anchor points and relate it to something that you are naturally, physically able to control on this plane, then you can't do anything on that plane, because things don't move the same way, right? Because you don't have arms there. So if you're trying to do something with your arms, there's no arms to do anything with. So then you're dead in the water. So you have to think, okay, the last time I was in a dream and I remember grabbing something, what did that feel like? Like, what did I see? How did I think about it? What was my sensation, even if I never felt the physical sensation? Years later, you find out that that's how you train people who lose entire limbs, to take a limb and completely control it, a prosthetic limb, with your brain, right? 35 years ago, there's no tech for this 30 years ago.
Right.
So I start relating, what does it feel like when I'm thinking about it and associated with the physical things? When I'm not in the physical world, I have a chance. And then I would say, okay, this is a scenario. I started with riding a motorcycle, because I knew how to ride a motorcycle in the real world. In my dreams, I can ride a whole lot faster, and I had like Honda CBR 1100 that went 200 miles an hour. I didn't have that. I had an 80cc Honda off-road. So I took something like that, and I built a scenario from sensation to reaction to how I felt. And then as I would drift off to sleep, I would continue to picture it until I couldn't. It was like blackness, or I was in it, imagining it. And it took me a while. It took me a month, maybe 2 months, before I had my first dream that was one that I manifested. And that was another moment where I was like, we're really doing it, aren't we there here? Dumb and Dumber.
So,
And
so
I had
how
my
old do you think you were when that happened?
13.
Okay. So we're gonna stop here because it's 1:39 and I gotta fucking get up for a meeting tomorrow morning.
Me too.
If it's okay with you,
Yeah.
I would really like to pick this up
Yeah.
on Tuesday.
Yeah.
I wrote down some notes where we are. Start controlling dreams. We're at 13. We're actually manifesting things that that you're thinking of, and it's actually starting to occur in dreams. And that is
Manifest
unbelievably. That's
control.
unbelievably fascinating because that again, I think the theme tonight has been control. I really think. I think it's. I think that's huge. That's hugely important. And I know we didn't get to talk about mental health, or did we get to
We
talk about
did.
mental
We
health?
really
this
did.
evening?
I
Oh,
thought
wait,
I
I
was,
think
I
we
thought I
totally
was
did.
going insane, and I found that there was something else that I had to control in order to be okay.
Okay. I'm going to
wa-
send you my bill.
I
just
wonder
wanna-
how many people. I wonder how many people with mental illnesses are just firing at a different level that they don't
Absolutely.
understand, and because they don't know what it is, it creates all this turmoil. But if they could tap into it and be like, "It's okay, I get it. I'm firing out here. I just didn't know where there was."
I always equate it to vibration. So
That's why
that's
they give you
that's fine.
mind neutering meds
right.
to stop you from remembering that thing is there. That's my opinion.
Right.
It's a lot of people who've been there. Like I say about anything, I don't believe in ghosts, but I've seen them. I don't believe in ghosts, but they have interacted with me. I don't believe in astral projection. I don't believe in remote viewing. I don't believe in controlling dreams. It's all fantasy bullshit. It's all in your head. But I've done it. And then I've had it happen when I wasn't expecting it. And I'm like, whoa.
What is that? An enigma wrapped in a question?
Yeah.
Is that right?
And when I was right around 17, 18, this thing I'm going to tell you about, I died.
In your dream?
No, I died.
Okay. Oh, let's not go into that because I'm gonna ask a lot of questions. So let's do this Tuesday night because if I've been very focused all evening.
I was
And I'm-
unprepared, and I allowed myself to die.
Oh, well, you shouldn't have done that.
No, you'll see. You'll see the rest later.
You'll see. Oh, I'll see.
You'll understand.
That was extraordinary. Thank you very much for sharing what you did.
It's been a weird week of sharing. I cried for 20 minutes yesterday talking
I'm
on air.
Well, not with me. I was gonna say I didn't make.
No, you check the last 20 minutes of the show yesterday. You see me come to terms with why a lot of positive changes in my life and a lot of guilt I had to let go of. And I had a moment yesterday at the end of the show.
Well, I feel a little cheated because I didn't make you cry at all. Wow, that fucking sucks.
I've never fucking cried. I don't do that. I don't do that.
Oh, I do it all the time. Are you
Not
kidding?
like that. That was I almost ended the damn thing. I was like, oh, fuck this. I'm like, nope, just be real. That's the whole point, dumbass. I did not expect this to come out. Jesus Christ, I got to remember what other crazy shit's going on that might come up because I didn't expect this. I didn't. I was gonna die with this, man. Lisa knew. Some people. Nope.
Well, the world knows now. Well, you know what? I think I like I said, I think mental health is huge because I think the two things that I think is the worst enemy to us is lack of control and feeling we're alone.
Yeah.
And I think that the more and more you talk about things, people can relate more and more to what you're talking about. And I think the theme though is control on how you learned, because you're a nerd and you looked through reading, but the dot, especially having that experience first time around, that's pretty extraordinary. So again, thank you very much for sharing that because that was pretty fucking cool, dude. That's why I was like, wait a minute, that was the first time, and you were like, yeah, first time. I'm like, whoa, that's
You'd be surprised. I could take you through it, and I say that we do it. I say,
no, I'm good.
listen, listen.
No, I
You'll
don't
be
need
in
to.
control.
No, I'm
I
good.
I learned.
I'm good. Listen, I'm
Listen.
barely gonna take that shit you put in your freezer. Okay, I'm gonna
I
research it, and I'm gonna.
listen. I learned by the time before I was 13. I'd tell my friends about meditation, and I learned hypnotism, and I would take them through it. And if they were willing, and most of them were like, I was like, I can teach you how to control your brain. I can teach you how to fucking clear the mechanism. I'll teach you how to do it. And they were like, oh, you're magic. I'm like, no, we are all magic. We are all magic. We can control so much.
But he doesn't believe in any of it.
No, because I have to exist with real people in this thing all the time. I can't walk around going, "Hey guys," you know what I mean? Like, I live in the physical world.
I struggle. I don't like
I
to
function.
say this phrase. I hate this phrase, but I struggle with what you just told me, and then coming through and saying what you just did. That bothers me. The
What?
fact that you say that you don't believe in astral projection, you don't believe in ghosts, but you've seen it, it's happened to you. I struggle with that. But again, we're gonna pick this up on Tuesday. Only vaccine was mentioned once now to me, thanks to me twice. The chat room was a little quiet. Thank you, Mama Fox, for being out there.
Thank you, Mama.
I don't know who Drew P. Balls is.
Drew P.
But
Balls, nice.
he came in, or she, I don't know. Drew, I assumed, was a male. Put in a couple of things. Hello, Dad Energy. What's up, Playboys? And how the old nuts hanging. So,
Drew P.
deep insights from Drew P. Balls. We appreciate it.
I wonder if it's Drew Johnson.
All right. Thank you again for sharing everything that you did, dude. That was pretty good. I didn't make you cry, but that was pretty heavy.
I had a moment because you made me realize a moment.
Don't you tell me what I feel, John.
Murder, prison, isolation. I didn't realize that I had to learn that stuff because I feared that that's where I was going to wind up. I never had that.
Different perspectives, right? Different perspectives.
Oh, that's some deep shit. And I was, okay.
What happened? I didn't make you cry.
Heavy is the head that wears the crown. I'll tell you that.
Good song.
Jesus Christ.
All right.
All right.
I will talk to you.
What is it? What do we say? How do we close this?
Honestly, tonight, I just think again.
Love one another. Love yourselves.
Well, I know that's what you like to say, but I think after tonight, I think, guys, everybody goes through a lot of shit in their lives, and you need to know that you're never alone. That other people, when I say never alone, is that you're not the only ones experiencing the things you are. And I definitely hope, and I think that's part of Jeff's shelf help, is to let you know, hey, there are other people that go through things that you may be like, nobody fucking goes through. Yeah, they do. It's a normal thing, a lot more normal than you think. And I think it helps when people talk about it and get it out there, because then the people that are actually listening don't feel alone. And I think it was a pretty good therapy session for you, and you'll get my bill in the fucking mail.
Yeah, I think I cash out my $100 that we made last year. So,
All right. Well, have a wonderful evening, and I will obviously probably text with you before Tuesday.
Yeah. If you, I don't know what you got going on Saturday, but if you want to jump back in sooner, I've got free time, and I don't have a Saturday show scheduled. So.
Unfortunately.
Oh yeah, you're gonna be out of town in Phoenix.
I'm gonna be going to see fucking Winger, Warrant, and Skid Row.
I'm gonna meditate. So I don't.
I'm actually going to be super happy to blow off some steam. So it's going to be a good time. So
hey,
you have a wonderful evening.
If you feel me watching you while you sleep, it's because I just astral projected to your house.
All right. Do me a favor. The left nut is a little bit more sensitive than the right, so stay on the right one.
Oh,
Okay?
I don't interact physically though from that realm. I just watch.
then what's the fucking point? I don't need.
Oh, you'll feel it. You just
Oh.
don't know what you're feeling
Fair
because
enough. Fair enough.
I've seen it, but
All right.
it doesn't exist.
But you don't believe in it.
I don't believe in it at all.
All right. Good night, brother.
Good night. Oh yeah, that was a bit much. That was intense. I didn't expect that. I forget how many layers deep my past and present and shit is stacked. 'Cause it's not one of those things you can bring up in casual conversation. I wouldn't even thought to. This was fresh in my head because talking to my my beautiful daughter Kelsey 2 weeks ago when she came back into my life and said, I need you in my life and I want you in my life. And I said, welcome back. We were talking about metaphysical type stuff, you know, and it kind of opened it up then, and then I brought it up again tonight when she was telling me about the planes of meridian or whatever, the planes for acupuncture that open up your energy pathways. And I said, I felt them open up. I didn't know where the pins were placed because I couldn't feel them go in, most of them, but I felt this feathery squiggle of movement under my skin going from point to point, and I thought, oh, I'm imagining things because I have an imagination. That must be it. And then I thought, I'm not. I know I'm not. I'm not imagining. I can fucking feel the energy flowing through me. I could feel it. So then I put myself into a trance state so I didn't interrupt it. And then she said, are you asleep? I said, nope. And I came back out of it. It's a little trick I can do. And then there you go. So I said, makes sense. Maybe that's why I felt a difference really fast, because I know when it comes down to it, we're energy. We're energies and we're particles. And as soon as your energy leaves your body on the last goodbye, this sack of flesh, this biomechanical flesh engine that we operate, immediately starts to break down back into energy. We're made up. We have there's a small percent of our bodies is stardust and meteor. You understand this? The body decomposes. That's just energy dissipating. It breaks itself down until it's ashes to ashes and dust to dust, and that energy is just back in the universe, going around, going back around. That's it. It's all we are. The thing we're afraid to leave behind, that's not the thing. That's the vehicle that we're using. That's the vehicle. Because I know how to get in and out of it. I still got to make a living, so I don't spend a lot of time with it much anymore, but I think I am going to. If you know that you can get in and out of this biomechanical vehicle that you're operating for the next 30 to 40 years, if you know you can get in and out of it, then what does that mean when it's time to get out of it permanently? That means you can know where you go. That means you could have some idea when you come back in, or you recycle and you go through and do another one. Remember that old soul story? God, I try and surface level stuff so much so I don't overwhelm. But I get it. I know how to get in and out. I know I've been out and then back in and started over again, which is why I fucking get so mad. I hate being an adolescent. I hate being a child. I hate it. I don't like it. I don't like it. I'm a challenging individual. Better give me some genius level parents next time. I'll drive them fucking crazy. It's not until I'm old enough to have some autonomy and they let me fucking spin out and do my thing that I become more of an asset than a liability. It's odd. God, I never thought I would talk about this stuff. This is weird. Okay, well, welcome to it. Thanks for watching and listening if you did. I appreciate it. I think I'll go back and actually label the last couple because things are ratcheting it up a bit. So maybe if I actually labeled what was going on and didn't just put some sort of a raucous diatribe of bullshit that I thought was funny, people might know what they were looking for. So, Astral Glide next. on the Shelf Help Show. Oh. The fuck? There's a scary movie. Starts with an S. I don't remember what the fuck it was called. It's a movie where a little kid basically goes into a coma. And then he's out in the darkness and things are chasing him. And they think he's in a coma. And then it finds out that dad used to have these same issues when he was young. And then they basically send him out into the astral plane to go rescue his son who got trapped out there. That's precisely what happens. I'll find the name of the movie, but if you've seen it, that's exactly. It's frightening. They made a fucking horror movie about what happens. And they explain it too. I remember watching that with my wife, who had known all these things, and she goes, "That's what happens?" I said, "Yeah." She's like, "That's horrifying." I'm like, "That's why they made a horror movie about it." I'll remember the name. If you guys remember, chat me. Okay, I'm done. Good night. I hope I don't have one of these night terrors and scare myself. Till we meet again, which I'm sure will be soon. Love one another and love yourself.